Libs of TikTok, that awful troll who enrages MAGA people who are dumb as poo. She doxes queer folk who would rather be John Does. And now she complains that we're calling Trump a pedo. That's right, everybody. Today, after there was a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner or whatever, somebody magically made it through several unbelievably tight layers of extreme security, not just with a gun, but reportedly with several knives and other things, and got several shots off. And that's all a thing that happens. And that's all a thing that's totally reasonable. Now, Libs of TikTok, the person who has been making their entire career by enraging MAGA cultists, by doxing every LGBT person that they can possibly find, and calling everybody grifters, and or not grifter, pardon me, groomers, calling every gay and trans person a groomer, and trying to get bomb threats have happened because of their posts, and all sorts of death threats have happened because of their posts. Now they're posting about how this shooting that just happened, this totally real shooting that just happened, and another person actually seriously, totally really trying to assassinate the president, is all because we leftists keep calling him a pedophile and a groomer and things. And that's dangerous political language that can really get someone hurt. What
Yeah.
an absolute joke of a person she remains. Absolutely fuck her and anybody else who even remotely thinks like her. Hi, welcome to Calling It Now. I'm your host, Forrest Valkai. I'm joined today by Ari. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. This is our first time working together,
It
if I
is.
remember correctly. It's exciting.
Very
I
first
know everybody out
time.
there is stoked. Um,
Yeah. I think Jimmy thought it was a selling point when he's like, it would be with Forrest if you host on Sunday. I'm like, okay.
who would care? Who would care if that was a, it's not a selling point at all. I'm just here. I'm just here for the vibes,
It's
you know?
definitely a selling point. I don't know.
Ugh. Uh
Here for the
it's a good
vibes.
day. It's a good day here in the land of the free. And if you're enjoying it, then let us know why. Tell us in the comments why you're proud to be an American today. Uh, as always, we'll be taking calls from folks who disagree with us. We are leftists and socialists and communists and feminists and LGBT supporters. We believe in science and things like climate change and evolution, and that trans men are men and
Gross.
trans women are women. Um,
Gross was towards the climate change part.
yeah. You won't get canceled at all. And we don't believe in any gods. Don't believe that the Bible is the good book. Do believe that America can be doing a whole hell of a lot better at living up to the reputation that we try to promote for ourselves. And we're here to talk about it. So if you want to talk to us, if you are a Trump supporter, if you are an ICE supporter, if you
Oof.
are anti-woke, if you are a Christian or a conservative or a theist of some other flavor besides Christian, if you believe the Bible is the good book and that we need to read it and study it and understand it and believe so that we may gain life everlasting, if you think that evolution is wrong and trans people are new woke science and that the vaccines are turn us into 5G antennas for bats to control or whatever the thing is, this is your show. This is your chance to talk to people who disagree with you and be real about it for a minute and provide a good reason for us to agree with you. We're usually nice,
I
as long
am.
as you are at least. And the number right there is on the screen, 336-543-2101. Or if you're outside of the U.S., you can call in using the web link in the description. What kind of calls are you hoping to get today, Ari?
Let's see. I'm over talking about Iran and immigration. So if they can come up with anything else, that would be great.
You heard it here first, folks. Make sure to call in about Iran and immigration. That'll be the best call.
Trigger me immediately. Let's go.
Yeah.
But there's also the sorry.
Yeah.
There that's what it is. Okay, that's fixed. I had to click on something else. There's also the whole, like, how everything looks entirely just a little bit staged, right? Because let's see, Caroline Levitt was having an interview and
Hmm.
said, like, shots will be fired.
Yeah.
Obviously, she meant the joking kind of shots fired,
Hmm.
meant it that way.
Hmm.
And then also, at the moment where you hear shots ring out, someone was making Trump read a note.
Yeah.
It The shooter is anti-Christian, but attended Caltech and was a part of a Christian fellowship.
Right.
All of this makes so much sense then,
Well,
guys.
it bothers me that we still I don't know any meaningful information about the person who supposedly tried to kill him the last time. Um, I don't know. We still don't know any meaningful information about the
None.
person who allegedly killed Charlie Kirk as well. And it's just
Oof.
what gets me is that like I don't want to talk like a conspiracy theorist because I think that you shouldn't chalk anything up to a conspiracy theory if it can be more easily explained by incompetence or just what. And like I feel like
Good point.
with a lot of these things, that it's very easy to chalk things up to incompetence. Like when we look at ICE murdering Alex Peretti and Renee Good, the fact that they turned around immediately and accused these people of being domestic terrorists before their bodies were cold, that reads more to me as cronies trying their best to cover their own asses more
That's all they
than
do.
like a really quick like, hey, let's come up with this big massive conspiracy. Um, but the thing is, even with that, even if I were to give it as much grace in the world, I fucking know how ear cartilage doesn't grow back, and anybody knows that. And it's like it doesn't have to be a conspiracy theory if we can just admit the fact that they're all fucking shameless liars who will do anything it takes to get attention, do anything it takes to distract from the Epstein files and how Trump is all over them, do anything to distract from Trump being a pedophile who is riddled with dementia, who is falling asleep multiple times in the Oval Office. If Joe Biden had fallen asleep half as much as Donald Trump is falling asleep in important meetings, I would have been calling him out just as much. I would have
Right.
been upset about it. And yet here we are
True.
distracting from the fact that this senile, billionaire, pedophile, rapist, racist, completely just illiterate piece of shit is beyond help and is being propped up by the same puppet masters that have been propping up this entire time. Fucking Putin and Netanyahu and Stephen Miller have
Ooh.
got their hands so far up his ass that is the only reason he's able to stand halfway upright. But of course, he still has the lean. So, like, for me, I couldn't care less if people are saying like, oh, well, maybe this was staged. Who fucking probably who doesn't matter. It doesn't tell us anything new. We still know these people are fucking shambling fraudsters, and for all we know, it could have been real because they're so shit at their jobs that they actually let that guy through and actually were that incompetent. It doesn't change anything either way. All we know is that the people in the leadership positions of this country, the people at the highest levels that are meant to keep this country running and keeping us safe, are doing absolutely nothing but enriching themselves and their billionaire pedophile friends. That is what this entire place is for. And thank goodness we have an opposition party that can really fight really hard on this and is doing literally
Oh,
anything
they're doing
besides
so great.
sending strongly worded tweets about it. Would love to see something else, but like we'll have to see how the midterms go. It just blows, dude. And if anybody wants to call in and defend it, we had a great time I think I was on last week. I don't remember exactly because I do so many of these fucking shows. But we had a great time talking to Trump supporters last time. People who wanted to explain why comparing ICE to Gestapo and to Nazis and shit is a bad idea and it causes more violence, only to then devolve into saying that they need to kill all liberals. Talking to
Oh,
people who say that Trump is really good for the country and he's the one who holds everything together, and only to then go on to admit that he hasn't done a single thing for them and has actually made their lives significantly worse, but they still support him because at the end of the day, as I have said again and again, and I will continue to say again and again, the only thing that MAGA has going for them is blind loyalty and hate. They have no morals, no values, no plans, no ideas, no policies, nothing that they want to enact that actually brings any meaning or joy to their lives or any stability to their country. They do not have anything that they actually care about besides blind loyalty to their God King Trump and hatred for people that Trump tells them to hate, namely immigrants and trans people. It is fucking sad to see.
They just literally buy into everything that they're told. And I think that's exactly what you're saying with the blind loyalty is they just like suck it all up. And even in talking to them, you just hear them regurgitate almost verbatim what Trump said or Caroline Leavitt said or any one of the insane people that speak out for the administration. I'm still waiting for someone. I'll give MAGA this tiniest amount of credit by not repeating what the agriculture secretary said, where like you can afford a piece of chicken, a piece of broccoli, and some rice in a tortilla. And then that's your meal. For $12, you can buy that.
I can't handle that. And that really is the thought process. You saw there was that video that came out, I think last year, didn't know what groceries were and called it an old-fashioned word that he popularized to win the election. No one really uses this word. I'm the one who started talking about groceries, and then people really like that. He genuinely is so out of touch. He does not know what a corner store is. He doesn't know anything because he has lived he has lived in a golden tower with a fucking platinum spoon in his mouth his entire fucking life.
Yep.
And he doesn't know anything about anything besides he's an old fucking man who watches something on television and is like, that's the guy. That's why we have a shitty Fox News host drunkenly slopping his way through running the fucking Secretary of Defense. It's fucking embarrassing. And I don't know if you saw the interview with the Secretary of the Navy. People ask me all the time, why do I pick on religion, and why do we do these religion shows, and why do we blend religion and politics all the time? I don't know if you saw the Secretary of the Navy on that interview recently talking about fucking the Lovers Point and how it used to be called Lovers of Christ Point, but they took that out of there, and now this whole community is being run by fucking Wiccans, and there's all these witches that are out here like really destroying the community. The Secretary of the Navy, a man who is in charge of warships and the motions of Marines, is concerned about witches. A man who is partially responsible for running the most lethal fighting force in the history of the world and concerned with keeping you safe at night. That man is seriously worried about magic spells and the effects that they have on his community. This is the fucking country we live in. This is the state of this nation. Oh my glob. I can't handle it, dude. I'm losing my mind. We immediately have an abortion call. Isn't that one of the ones you said you didn't want to do anymore?
It's not. It's actually not one of the ones that I said, yeah, though now I regret not saying that. Fucking hell. It's always something. It's always something.
I don't want to do any calls, it turns out.
There's that part too where I'm just like, y'all making me like centrist. Like, bro, go fuck yourself already. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's how I feel about that.
It's gonna be a bad time.
Don't ever call your okay. No, there's something I was gonna say about what you just said, and then I lost it because I saw Broski.
I was here rambling about the fact, and the Secretary of the Navy isn't the only one. Apparently, there was that report. I don't know how the veracity of it because of the fact that it was kind of hearsay, but the fact that we had several whistleblowers coming out and saying that like high-ranking officials in like every department of the military were coming out and saying that this war in Iran is a good thing because it's going to lead more fighting in Israel, and that's going to bring about the rapture. And it's like
insanity. Still,
we have there are people out there that are literally worshiping this fucking man, this fucking dementia-ridden, senile billionaire pedophile rapist is their fucking new god. And like it just drives me up so many walls to see people who really genuinely care more about winning against the other side than they care about winning for their country. You talk about when Trump posts videos of him wearing a king's crown and shitting all over American citizens, when he posts images of himself as Jesus Christ, when he posts images of himself as the Pope, when he posts images of himself as this fucking godlike Rambo hero. And this is how a fucking 12-year-old behaves. And when we talk about it, the response from MAGA is, well, he's trolling. He's getting a rise out of you. Okay.
You didn't find that funny?
Let's say that's true. Do you expect the leader of your nation to behave like somebody on 4chan? Is that good enough for you? I don't care if you pick the best candidate that I've ever liked. There's no candidate that's 100% what I like because I'm not in a fucking cult. But pick somebody really good, right? Pick Claudia de la Cruz, Kat Abogazala, all these people that have been running recently that, of course, didn't win because they're outspoken socialists, right? People who want the kind of restorative justice that I want in this country. People that want the kind of major reform that I want in this country. Somebody I really like. If they behaved that way, I would not vote for them because that shows a serious lack of maturity and impulse control. I don't want a president, whether I like their policies or not, to behave like a petulant teenager.
Oh, I've said that to people.
MAGA is still out here cheering it because it doesn't matter if they lose as long as other people lose too. As long as people they don't like are also losing. As long as their enemies are angry, it doesn't matter how bad it makes them look. It doesn't matter how much it hurts them.
Yeah. I'll have to find it. But someone did a compilation of how Fox News hosts were calling Obama on the multiple of things that he did were just like would typically just be like, that's a little bit questionable, right? But nowhere near the level of Trump, and be like, that's not suitable for the office of the presidency. And then like side by side, okay, so Obama did this, and then Trump does the same thing, but 10 times worse. But that's okay. He's just, joking with everybody, but the black man can't do it.
Right. And like honestly, it like pretend for one fucking second. And I know that we make this connection all the time, but pretend for 1 second that Obama, the man who they ran a week's worth of news coverage about him ordering spicy mustard on a burger or wearing a tan suit or riding a bicycle with a helmet, because those are all things that may prove that he was an elitist weakling and all this stuff. Imagine if he had cheated on every one of his wives, had several different children with several different women, paid off a porn star using campaign money, was listed thousands, millions of times in the fucking Epstein files, said on camera that he doesn't know if the Constitution should apply to him.
I'll have to ask my lawyer.
Pick your favorite. Pick your favorite thing that Trump does on any given day and pretend like you wouldn't be fucking enraged if Obama did half of that. And I would speak that to MAGA and anybody else. I would be enraged if Obama behaved half of the way that Trump did. There has been and still is. But I know for fucking sure MAGA would be. No shadow of a doubt. And I know that because when we look at Zoran Mamdani right now, he is currently front page news because he met the mascot of a baseball team, and then the baseball team had a bad couple of games. And that is front page news to try to tear down the brown-skinned socialist. Meanwhile, Trump is out here talking about how he hopes his infant daughter gets big tits someday, and y'all are still on board. You don't give a shit.
That's
they care
insane.
About nothing.
I didn't know about the Mamdani thing. I'll have to look that up because that's hilarious. But it's like that got more news coverage than the fact that JD Vance actually went and met with the former Pope, and then he died the next day. Like JD Vance, the Grim Reaper, that got less press than Mamdani meeting with the mascot. Jeez, that's insanity. That's great. I didn't know about that one. I guess there's quite a few finally.
Yeah, we got some people calling in, but I don't want to cut you off if you had anything to wrap up with before we jump right into. I'm looking at probably line number 5 first because it sounds like fun.
Yeah, so he last called on my the last time I was on, and that one might actually just make you want to beat your head against the wall.
I'm already there, yo. Let's go.
Already there?
Let's have fun.
Okay, let's do it.
It's
Okay, we'll bring
I
him up.
woke up today in America. I'm
In
already mad.
America? Yeah. No.
got
Wait.
got a lot going
Opposed to where else? Like, where do you think you would wake up elsewhere?
on. That's exactly the problem. Is that it's a hopeless situation. I went to bed in America and I
Hopeless.
expected to be here still, and so I'm just like, oh fuck, man, I got to continue living in a country where if I were to fall and break my leg, I would just die because there's nothing I can do about that. The government
And
put me down like a lame horse.
some of them would say you deserve it, especially if you didn't come into the country, through the proper way.
Right?
You didn't do it the right way. You deserved it, or some such malarkey. There we go. Now that's working. Sorry, I needed to get the zoom in a little bit. All right,
Yeah,
we can start at 5.
Let's start with Eli, and then I'll move on to 6, and then we'll go to
All right.
3. I think that's probably the best options for us. Let's talk to Eli, who is a Republican who wants to say that Trump is not a fascist. Eli, you're on the line with Forrest and Ari. How you doing today?
What's up?
Hey, so I've got you
How you
listed
doing?
there as calling in
Yeah.
from New York, and they already got the pronouns in, so I
Yep.
don't have to ask that question. That's fantastic. So, you say that Trump is not a fascist. Would you like to expound on that before I ask you questions?
No, I heard you guys, or at least the other person you were talking about, Trump is a fascist. I just want you to explain to me how he is, because according to what I know, by definition, he's not a fascist. So,
By definition. Okay, so what is the definition of fascism then?
okay, so there's a few points. First of all, it's like when one powerful leader has most or all control. There's no checks and balances, whatever, like Mussolini, let's say. There's no elections, or even if there are elections, they're fake. People don't have political choices. Extreme what do you call it? Nationalism is another point.
So you're looking at
and
looks like you're going through the 14 Tenets of Fascism by Lawrence Britt, right?
yeah, I mean, I don't remember everything off the top of my head, but that's the main things that people, I guess. I mean, there's more.
Let's go
stuff
through
you could say, but
Well, let's go through some of it together. So we can agree that fascism is a far-right, authoritarian, ultra-nationalist political ideology, right? That's like the front page headline of what it is. Whether or not it has a single dictator, whether or not it has elections, whether or not it has anything, it is a far-right, authoritarian, and ultra-nationalist political ideology. So do you want to start there, or do you want to start by going through those 14 tenets of fascism? Which would be better for you? Because we can go on either one of those and start by explaining how Trump is those things.
okay, so I want to know how this is a big part of fascism. The fact that elections are fake, either fake or don't exist. People don't have political choice.
So that's
I just want to say that clearly doesn't apply to him.
It
which by
doesn't?
But he has tried to make it apply to him by attempting to overthrow the government on January 6th.
Actually, let me pause at this real
Um,
quick, because I've loved this argument for a while, and I haven't had a chance to say this. But you do remember Eli in 2016, while Donald Trump was campaigning, he made it clear that if he lost the election, it's because it was stolen from him. Do you remember that?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. And then you remember in 2020, he did the same thing, and then he lost the election while he was president, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then in
Yeah.
2024, he did the exact same thing, except he added a little bit of a, what is it called? Can't think of it. He kept saying, make it too big to rig, right? Which even then it was by very slim margins. And did the same thing. If we lost,
What did you say?
it was stolen.
Yeah.
So how do you equate to Donald Trump saying that elections are stolen for 8 years, sorry, actually 10 years now, and you take that out of the equation saying that, well, the elections weren't stolen, but he's been talking about it for 10 years?
Well, him saying an election was stolen, that doesn't mean there's no elections are fake in the whole country. He's saying that from what he's seeing, he's assuming people are going to vote for him, and if they don't vote for him, then he thinks that there is some tweaking in the thing. So, I don't know why you're saying that means there's no real democracy regarding elections. That doesn't.
I like that part real quick, though.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, who was president in 2016?
What?
Who was president in 2016?
Trump.
Obama, who was a Democrat. Correct?
Okay.
And Trump won the 2016 election, was inaugurated January of 2017.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
You're
fine.
good. Who was president in 2024?
So was President Biden, and then Trump.
Biden. Okay, great. So Biden,
Yeah.
a Democrat, was president in 2024. A Democrat was president in 2016 when Donald Trump won. So you're telling me that the two times
Yeah.
that Donald Trump won the presidency and the elections were secure was while a Democrat was president, but Donald Trump, in his mind, lost the 2020 election when a Republican himself was in office.
What are you trying to say?
Sounds like to me that Donald Trump is making a clear-cut case that Republicans steal elections.
I don't understand.
The
how you're saying
elections
that.
are only secure when a Democrat is in office?
What do you mean by the elections are secure? Like when he became president, he's saying that the elections are good, and then you're saying when he lost the presidency, he's saying that it's not good?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
when he was president.
He immediately poisons the well from the start, saying if things go my way, it's because it's fair. And if anything that I
Okay,
don't
but does
like
that
happens,
mean-
that's because it's not fair. And that also is a pattern you see even today when Virginia just passed their resolution to redistrict the entire state, and he claimed that that was a rigged, stolen election that the Democrats enforced. What Ari is pointing out here is that the data don't back up what he's saying, because if it were true that these elections were stolen, it happens to only be elections that he himself is overseeing that are getting stolen and rigged and all these things. And also, you talk about, not having free and fair elections. First of all, that doesn't have to happen for fascism to be a thing. Second of all, he is trying to make that happen.
That is
not
a
only
big
by what we're
point of
talking about
fascism.
here,
If
that is
if
a
you
part
don't fill
of
that
fascism.
blank of fascism,
And the
you're
second
not a
thing-
fascist. I'm sorry.
That's not true, and I'm going to explain why in a second. But the second most
It's
important
very,
thing here
very true.
is that
It's very true.
Oh my God.
no, it's very not, and I'm going to explain why in a second here. But the second and most important thing here is that what Ari was just talking about is that he is only losing elections when he's overseeing them. And on top of that, he says that he wants to get ICE to go monitor all the polling places, and he is already raiding places, election boards, to steal all these old ballots. So, and we also have him on tape telling, I think it was the governor of Georgia, wasn't it, saying, you need to make some ballots happen for me. You need to invent some ballots so that I can win.
I just need
trying
11,000
to steal
votes.
an election. So, we know that he is immediately sowing distrust about elections, free and fair elections, which is a part of fascism. We know that he has attempted to change the outcomes of elections when they didn't go his way, which is a part of fascism. We know that he has attempted to rig elections before they were even counted, which is a part of fascism. And we know that the lies that he tells about elections actually reflect negatively back on him, which isn't a tenet of fascism, but does make him look like a massive fucking idiot. So that's what we're talking about here.
Okay.
With the whole elections thing.
Okay, can I just say something? When he's president and you're saying, oh, he was overseeing it and he's saying it's rigged, he doesn't have all the control on the elections. The state, if he's claiming the state rigged, that state had a rigged election, he didn't have full control over the state. So you can't just say, oh, he happened to be president, so it was him, so he's calling himself that's obviously not what he's saying. You're just twisting his words. He's saying
Then how did the
election-
Democrats steal the election from him?
He's saying that happened. That doesn't mean it happened. I
I'm
don't
aware
know.
that
It
that's
didn't
him
happen.
saying it.
Like-
I'm literally just quoting him, and I'm utilizing his own logic with you in this case. I would use it against him if I could, but that's the thing, right? Is he's the one that talks about 2020 was stolen. I don't believe this, but he does. He's never once, not even to today, April 26, 2026, said that Biden won the 2020 election, even though we know that it was the most audited, the most recounted election that we've had since 2000.
His
2004.
own judges, his own investigators, all confirmed that it was a normal, safe, secure, legitimate election. He investigated the shit out of it, and his own people said that he was wrong. So, at the end of the day, even if you want to set aside this, that actually brings me to the next thing. Even if you want to claim we still have free elections, therefore, we can't call that part fascism. Fascism isn't just whether or not you have free elections. Getting fascists into power takes more than that. We can all agree that there is rampant cronyism and corruption in this government. As Ari just pointed out, the whole thing about how he is still yet to say that that election was free and fair, in that he lost. You can see even today when people that he appoints are put before Congress, they will not say he lost that election because they know if they say he lost, they won't get the job. He'll fire them. So we have rampant corruption and cronyism all throughout our government in support of him. He replaces experts with loyalists all the time. That is one of the tenets of fascism. An obsession with crime and punishment. Absolutely no question that's what's going on. The way that he has a fucking secret police force marching through our streets, rounding people up based on whether or not they can prove their identity to a fucking armed, masked stranger. No doubt in anybody's mind that's what's going on. Disdain for intellectuals and the arts, that is another tenet of fascism. If you don't think that that's going on with the Trump administration, I'm sorry you're not paying attention. The fact that we have defunded so much scientific research, the fact that we have are constantly rallying against colleges that teach woke propaganda, basic fucking facts and logic. The labor power being suppressed, the fact that that's another tenet of fascism, the fact that we are taking away so much power from the working and middle class and funneling money up to billionaires, giving tax breaks to billionaires again and again and again, bailing out other countries rather than supporting our own farmers and our industry workers. We protecting corporate power, that is another tenet of fascism. So very obviously, yes, we still have Citizens United, which isn't Trump's fault, but you've got to be damn sure that he is absolutely making the best of it and protecting his billionaire friends. The intertwining of religion and government, that is a tenet of fascism. He has a fucking, what is it, the prayer leader person? I forgot what he calls this woman that he brought in, the Christian oversight advisor lady. And even if we don't look at, I can't remember her fucking title right now, but it's insane. And we were just talking about at the beginning of this show, the fact that he's surrounding himself with so many deeply religious people and using religion as a weapon, often depicting himself as a religious figure himself. Nobody else does that shit. Another tenet of fascism, obsession with national security. Again, if you don't get how that is Trump's big bag, you are not fucking paying attention. The entire concept of building the wall, the entire concept of going to war with Iran, even though we ran on no new wars or anything like that, the entire concept of getting illegal immigrants out. He says over and over about how illegal immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. They're all rapists and murderers, which is straight up fucking Nazi talk. But that is the point of his campaign. Controlled mass media. Not quite there yet, but goddamn, we're on the way with him fucking weaponizing the FCC to try to get people who criticize him off the air and saying out loud that news organizations should not be allowed to criticize him. Rampant sexism is another one of the 14 tenets of fascism. I'm sorry, I don't think that's controversial when we're talking about the man who calls women pigs and dogs and walked into the changing rooms of young women and girls during his beauty pageants and has cheated on every single wife that he has and only hires fucking, skinny blondes for every single position of government ever. Sorry, that's not exactly a concern with me. Another one, supremacy of the military. Absolutely, he talks about it all the time. First president to have a fucking Kim Jong-un style military parade. That just for his own birthday, always talking about how big and strong and powerful our military is, changed the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War, like a 13-year-old boy playing fucking Call of Duty. And then we get to the really big ones, which is identification of scapegoats and enemies as a unifying cause. As we said at the beginning, we see this with immigrants, and we see this with trans people. They are scapegoated for everything. Every bad thing that happens in this country is because an immigrant or a trans person did it, because somebody came here illegally, and that destroyed our economy, despite the fact they pay over $100 billion in taxes and support the economy quite a bit. But that doesn't matter because they're not from here, unless they're white. Then it's okay. We'll give them amnesty. And then, of course, a trans person wanted to play baseball, and that opened us up to terrorism, right? If you don't think that we are scapegoating people in this country, you're fucking insane. Disdain for the recognition of human rights is another one of the 14 tenets of fascism, which is very evident by him saying that we cannot give constitutional protections to undocumented immigrants or anybody that ICE picks up based on the color of their skin or their accent or their place of employment, by the way, as factors leading to the reasonable suspicion. Disdain for the human rights is evident when he says that we cannot give these people the protections guaranteed by the Constitution because it would just take too long. And especially when we have the Department of Homeland Security tweeting out that they want to deport 100 million people. 100 million deportations. That's a third of the country that they want to deport. And then finally, the number one tenet of fascism is powerful and continuing nationalism. The entire rallying call of make America great again, hearkening back to a mythical past that doesn't fucking exist and saying USA, USA whenever anybody gives you a valid criticism. That is nationalism on full fucking display. So what I've just listed for you, Eli, is 13 of the 14 tenets of fascism that Trump absolutely, unequivocally, easily, obviously applies to. You're arguing about one of them, which we both think is fucking horseshit, and you don't care because you hung up before I even started talking. You were fucking scared of the conversation, you dropped. But at the end of the day, I wanted everybody else to make sure we heard when we go through these 14 tenets: powerful and continuing nationalism, disdain for the recognition of human rights, identification of enemies or scapegoats as a unifying cause, supremacy of the military, rampant sexism, controlled mass media, obsession with national security, religion and government being intertwined, corporate power being overly protected, labor power being suppressed, disdain for intellectuals and the arts, obsession with crime and punishment, rampant cronyism and corruption, and fraudulent elections. We have absolutely guaranteed 12 of those spots, arguably the other two, and at least on the way to them. Sorry if that fucking triggers you, but facts don't care about your fucking feelings. If you care about democracy and you care about the Constitution, you should be against this as we are, well, no matter what your fucking economic or border security policies are. You're in a fucking cult, dude.
And so the funny thing is like, I said this to Eli last time when I was on with Jovan, and I said, just because Trump isn't very good at being a fascist doesn't mean that he's acting less fascist than he is. It's like, he's just not good at it. He's still trying, though.
Yep.
Luckily, it is showing that our checks and balances are currently working the way that they're
not
intended to.
Not working enough, but they're there.
Not enough, yeah. They moderately, Congress needs to grow a new pair or invent a new pair. I don't know which one. Probably invention is probably the better one.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to get 14 out of the way just because obvious, the notes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll do that real quick.
Do it. Let's do it for fun.
All right.
Let's do Joshua.
Joshua, you're on with Forrest and Ari. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. What about yourself?
Doing well. How old are you?
21.
Okay. What were you going to say?
I hear just a pretty crazy conversations happening. I don't know if I can, match you guys with the whole political stuff because I kind of dropped a bunch of that stuff a long time ago. But,
well, I mean, there are other shows that The Line does that are for theists.
I'm happy to talk to you about theism for a second. I'm happy to live without God.
Yeah, but I just want to know, what's the problem with Christianity? What's your problem with Christianity?
I don't think somebody needs a book to tell them to be a good person. And if someone does need a book to tell them that they should be a good person, that's very weak-minded.
I would also say that if we did want a book to tell people to be a good person, it probably shouldn't be a book
the Bible.
that's pro-slavery and pro-genocide and pro-rape and pro-pedophilia.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what does a good person mean to you? My question for you.
Primarily being a humanist, looking for the good of people, making sure, not just being selfish, but looking out for the betterment of everyone else around you.
Yeah, I would say it's somebody who does their best to improve themselves and the world around them. Absolutely is going to make mistakes because everybody does, but tries to rectify those mistakes and move forward as fairly and honestly and as kindly as they possibly can. Doesn't cause undue harm to others without any good reason. Is just trying to make the world a better place as best they see fit, well, without trying to impose their will upon others because they're measured and temperate. There's a lot to being a good person. I believe, like Aristotle and the ancient Stoics, that goodness and morality are a practice. They're not something you just are. They're something you have to try and keep up with every single day. It's like a muscle. You got to work it out. Otherwise, it goes limp.
Yeah, the only people that I think are good theists are the ones that actually practice what Jesus taught in the Bible and go about being a good person and just strengthening that. But unfortunately, we see too many
Well,
out there
here's
that
the
have twisted it to
thing,
be
Mm.
discriminatory.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's the thing. The Bible is a double-edged sword. A lot of people use it, oh, hey, look at me, I'm a good person, you gotta live like this, but, you know, it actually reveals that nobody's good. Good in humans doesn't exist. We're all wicked. Everyone's selfish. We all want our own way.
I disagree.
I'm sure because
Yeah.
I have many different sins. I'm not going to come on here like, oh, I'm holier than thou. I'm just like, the only good person to ever live was Jesus because he never sinned. And then he
That's not true.
died on the cross for us. That is true. He died on the cross
No.
for us.
No, I didn't.
And
First of all,
the dead.
just to be clear, don't think that I don't believe that sin is real. First of all, so you got to hang up there. Second of all, I certainly don't believe that no humans are good. I think that goodness is a very relative concept that, again, is something that people achieve through constant practice. Third, and most importantly, even if I accepted your worldview that humans are in need of some kind of correction or improvement, I certainly wouldn't do that by way of a fucking filthy human sacrifice 2,000 years ago that I didn't consent to, I didn't agree to, that binds me and every other person into a contract of fucking replacement, like a fucking whipping boy that absolves me of responsibility. That's evil.
You don't have to accept it, sir. You don't have to accept
If your God was halfway smart, he wouldn't have done it.
Jesus died on the cross for you, and he sacrificed his life for you so that he could forgive the whole world's sins. But God gave us free will that we don't have to accept that.
Yeah, but who cares?
We can just
because your
live
God,
without-
any God that set up this system is a monster, and I don't care what it did. I don't think your God is real, and any God that ran the world this way is not worth worshiping.
In what way?
Valid.
In what way do you think God is running?
In what way do I think God is running the world?
Yes. What? Give me your.
I don't.
Your like view.
If your God is real,
In what
like let's
way
just
do
run
you
through it
see
here
running
really
the
quick. Well, let's go start to finish here very briefly. Give me 2 minutes here. If your God is real, right? The first thing he does is whip up the world like a lazy parent. He whips up the world and puts people in here with a tree that they're not supposed to eat from, knowing full well what's going to happen. Because remember, God is all-knowing, so he knows what they're going to do. They don't know what right and wrong is yet, so they have no concept of any part of this aside from, this guy told me not to eat from this tree. He tells the first lie in the universe by saying they'll die if they eat from the tree. They do it anyway because they're literally born yesterday. They are literally children. They don't know any better. And then God, knowing that that was going to happen, knowing how he could have prevented it while still preserving their free will, doesn't just punish them, but punishes everybody for the rest of human history, especially women. That's fucking stupid. And all of this because he didn't test their goodness, their morality, anything like that. Their sin was not that they broke free. They learned about the knowledge of good and evil. Their sin was disobedience. They disobeyed God. And they didn't know any better because all he ever did was tell them a lie. And all they've ever known is that one bit of reality. Then we skip forward a little while. Now we have this world that's fallen because your God fucking wasn't paying attention and doesn't know how to parent properly. And God says in the Bible that he regrets making humans. First, explain to me how an all-knowing creature knows how to regret something. What does that fucking mean? But then also explain to me why it is that he couldn't just go down and teach them something new or correct them or explain, hey guys, you're doing things wrong, here's why. No, he's going to drown every single living thing in the world except for, I guess, fish and bugs because they get a pass. Whales are fine. They didn't sin, but giraffes fucking did. They need to be drowned. And as well as every baby that was at the time. All those babies, they're fucking evil. But of course, That's nothing for God, because throughout the rest of the Bible, over and over and over, he commands people to slaughter babies, as he did with the Amalekites and the Canaanites. He tells the people directly, kill their infants, kill their babies, keep nothing but the virgin girls for yourself so you can do with them what you will. That's a fucking great moral lesson, isn't it? Then, the second time after the flood, the second time the entire world is populated by incest, he then creates all these different languages. Why? He says so himself, because we're too powerful and we'll be like him if we can all speak and communicate and work together. Slave masters did the exact same thing. So do union busters, where they split people up and take away their ability to communicate because they'll be too powerful. What kind of a fucking weak God are we talking about here that's too afraid of us being powerful if we're able to work together and communicate? Wouldn't he want unity? And then we skip forward to the Old New Testament, where he is so impotent to change the world that he broke and fix the problems that he created himself. As he says, he creates good and evil, light and dark. So all these things that he's created that he has a serious problem with now, because whatever fucking same problem he had with the dinosaurs, I guess. He just fucking got a wild hair up his ass and decided he needed to bomb everything again. This time, he sends down himself to be sacrificed to himself, to make a loophole in his own fucking rules so that he can do what he could have done if he was a decent, loving parent and just said, I forgive you, I love you, I don't care what you did, because there's nothing that somebody I love could ever do to make me want to torture them forever. But he can't do that because he's a fucking wicked monster, and so he has to make this situation where now he has conditional love, and if we choose to believe that a fucking some guy rose from the dead 2,000 years ago in Palestine, now we're able to go to heaven with Hitler and Jeffrey Dahmer and all the other good Christians, but all of us atheists who spend our lives trying to make the world a better place for no reason and just giving to charity and trying to be better people, all of us that didn't join the book club and suck his dick properly, we get to burn in hell with the giraffes that I mentioned earlier that were so sinful. So that's why, Joshua, I don't like your God, and I wouldn't worship him even if it is real, because if the Christian God is real, he's stupid, he's monstrous, he's evil, he is not worth worshiping.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but freaking.
I'm sorry you don't.
I would like it if you would give me one at a time, but let me try and see if I can go through this one at a time for you. In the Garden of Eden, God did not lie to them. They actually did die, Adam and Eve.
No, they didn't.
So before they sinned,
And where the hell did
were
Cain
like
and Abel come from?
living.
Right, and also that's not what he said. He said you will die the very same day that you eat from this fruit, eat from this tree. And all the serpent said was, no, you won't.
Oh, I see. He's going based off of the fact that they died at the end of the day. Yeah, they eventually died. No, I think he's just talking about the eventuality, just like every human eventually dies.
Yeah.
That's what he means. Like, oh goodness, you will die. Like, oh. Like
Yeah, which isn't what he said. He
Yeah.
said you will die the very same day. And they clearly
He
live
had the
long enough
verse
to have
that-
children.
Are you asking Forrest for the verse?
Yeah. Got it right
Yeah.
Okay. What translation do you read, Joshua?
here. I got KGV here.
Oh God. The
Sure.
best, the
That's
worst.
fine.
So this is what I got in my KGV, which, yes, is the worst fucking translation, but it's the one that I've had and the one that I've studied. The one I have on hand. This is Genesis 2:17. Of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou shalt eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. That's what he says. And then the
Yerp.
serpent comes along and says, the woman said unto the serpent that we may eat of the tree of the garden, but of the tree that we shall not eaten. This is chapter 3, verse 4. And the serpent said to the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So it not only does God straight up say, you will die this very same day, but also it is repeated over and over that the thing that makes them like God is knowing the difference between good and evil. Which is what I said a minute ago. The test here wasn't whether they're good or evil. The test here was whether or not they're obedient slaves. God punishes them not because they're evil, but because they are disobedient and don't follow him blindly, without question. And then, of course, he punishes women more than men. He puts enmity between men and women. This is chapter 3, verse 15. I will put enmity between thee and thy woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It'll bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he will rule over thee. So men are punished by, death and the risk of hell. Women have all that, and also painful childbirth, and also they're subservient to men.
Well, painful childbirth and then the menstrual cycle.
Right. And also subservience to men forever, which is fucked up.
It's very. And the fact that people still believe that today is insane, too.
Yup. Your God's an asshole,
Okay.
Joshua.
Well,
that's what I'm saying to you.
No, he's not. My God is sovereign and all good and just.
All good.
That's why he punished
He's
Eve and
all good and just. Okay. Let's turn to some of the pages where he's all good and just. Let's talk about Egypt. We just skip over to the book of Exodus, and we look at Exodus, let's say 21. We can start in there. Now, let's go to where he's freeing the slaves. Let's go to Exodus where he's freeing the slaves. So, we have here several times, like here in chapter 14, verse 4, where the Pharaoh is cool with freeing the slaves, but God says, I will harden the Pharaoh's heart, and he will follow after them and do all the... And this is actually, I'm sorry, this is where he's going after them, pardon me. He says over and over in here that he will harden the heart of the Pharaoh. He says this actually before. This is in 11:10. He says it again. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land. He says it again when he's at the burning bush, if I remember correctly, that he will harden his heart. So over and over and over again, God takes away the Pharaoh's free will. The Pharaoh is willing to let the people go. This is in 14:8. The Lord hardened the heart of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel.
With Pharaoh, why did he harden his heart?
Oh, so that he could swing his dick around. It was because he wanted to do more plagues. Because the thing that I was going to get to at the end here is that the last plague that he did was killing the firstborn children of every house of Egypt. So these children who do not have any political power cannot handle any part of this, cannot free the slaves, even if they wanted to. Rather than just convincing the Pharaoh, he hardens Pharaoh's heart so that he will not do what he wants, and then he kills a bunch of innocent children about it. And then also kills the Pharaoh with the whole Red Sea thing, but whatever. And that's after all the other plagues where he kills a bunch of livestock, where he kills a bunch of crops, where he kills a bunch of fish, where he, sends people boils and frogs and locusts and every other fucking thing. So he kills a bunch of innocent children after he forced a man to do something evil by taking away his free will. That's not exactly a just and loving God, if I could imagine one.
He actually hardened Pharaoh's heart because Pharaoh hardened his heart 5 times.
Okay, so it's a two wrongs make a right thing. Pharaoh was mean, so God forced him to be more mean so that he could kill his kid.
That's insanity.
Well, I don't know how you... All right, anyways, besides all of that... Tell me...
Besides all of that.
Let's
turn now to Samuel. Let's turn now to 1 Samuel. Yeah, go ahead.
Deuteronomy real quick. Isn't there a verse in Deuteronomy about how if a woman doesn't scream out when she's raped, that it was consensual? Basically.
Something like that. It's something like that. And that's also nothing new for God.
Yeah, sir, that's not how that works.
I'm looking at...
Go ahead.
1 Samuel. I'm looking at 1 Samuel 15:2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, remember that which Amalek did to Israel, and how it laid waste upon them in the way, and how he came up out of Egypt. Go now and smite Amalek, utterly destroy all they have, spare them not, slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. So he's talking to Saul, the king that he is anointed, and telling them, go kill all the fucking babies in this place. Kill every person, even the infants. And what does Saul do? He does. He kills all the infants, but he keeps some of the cattle for himself. And God is so angry at this that he says that he regrets making Saul the king. Again, an omnipotent character that knows what regret means. Tell me how that makes fucking sense. And he's so upset that Saul didn't kill all the cattle along with the babies that he strips some of his title and anoints David as king and plagues Saul with demons for the rest of his life to drive him insane. What a noble and just God you worship. So just.
That he actually has regrets. So much
He
for
orders
all-knowing.
the killing of babies, regrets somebody making someone king, regrets his own decisions, and then torments someone with demons because they didn't kill enough cows.
Number 5.
Anything else, Joshua?
Okay.
He probably doesn't have anything, honestly.
I'm willing to listen.
Well, God did that to the Ammonites because of their unrepentant wickedness, cruelty, and stuff towards Israel.
Oh, the babies too? The babies were unrepentant and wicked towards Israel? Because he specifically says, kill the infants, the suckling babies, the ones who haven't even weaned yet. Kill them. So those babies were so evil they deserved to die. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think we're supposed to live by that?
What do I think? What?
All right. Well, you got me speechless there. But I'm not trying to win an argument or anything. I'm just saying that Jesus is true. And that he loves you.
Okay.
And that
Jesus said in the
God
New
loves
Testament
you,
that not a jot
that
or tittle of the
Jesus
old law.
died.
Hold on there, Joshua. Because Jesus said in the New Testament that
Yep.
God is unchanging, past, present, and future. That he comes not to change the old laws, but to fulfill them. That not a jot or a tittle of the old laws shall change until all things come to pass at the end of the age. That he brings not peace, but a sword. And that he comes to pit brother against brother. He is very clearly reflecting all the things that the Old Testament God did as well. And if you're believing that the Bible is true and you're coming up with this tradition that you're giving us here, I'm going to go ahead and bet money that you probably believe that Jesus and God are part of the same entity as like a Trinitarian thing. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
let me tell you
means
this.
that Jesus,
Yes,
which means
God is the
Jesus
same. He
saying,
is the
which means
God
Jesus
is the
saying, I
same.
love you. Just to be clear, Joshua, that means that when Jesus says he loves us, that's half of a sentence. The other half is, I love you so much that if you don't love me back, I will burn you forever in a pit of fire because I regret making you because you've been evil since the moment you were born. That is not love, Joshua. That is lunacy. And he is
God
the
does
same
not
guy
put us
who
in hell.
did all these evil things.
God does not
Then why
put
did he
us in
make
hell.
then why did he make hell? Why did he make
He made
Satan?
hell
Why did
for
he
the
make
fallen
the
angels, not
rules?
men.
Why did he make the
He made hell
rules
for
by
the
which
fallen
people are
angels and
sent
not
to
for
hell?
men. We put ourselves in hell when we decide to be separate from God. We go
Joshua,
there. Hell
I
isn't-
choose right now.
hell isn't
No.
fire. Hell
I
isn't
choose right
fire.
now
Listen,
not to
hell
go to
is
hell.
not fire. Hell is not fire. All it is separation from God. You can do whatever you want in hell. Whatever you want. It is not fire. It is not freaking where.
Well,
like,
then you disagree
it is
with the
eternal
Bible where it
darkness.
talks about a lake of fire and the wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Or everyone who is not with God is. And whatever anyone does to you in there, it doesn't matter. Listen, now God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Because of this, he sent his son Jesus so that all of us would be able to live in him. In the
I
Old
agree with the
Testament,
part that you
Israel
just
was
said.
people.
I agree with what you just said there,
Israel was his
Joshua.
people.
He
Old
was the same
Israel
yesterday,
was
today, and
his
tomorrow.
people.
That's why he had to do something so fucking stupid as sending Jesus rather than just
Okay,
forgiving
okay,
us.
let me-
If he was a loving parent, he could have just said, I forgive you of whatever you did wrong,
Sir, can
or
you
I'll
let-
do better to try to teach you.
Can you let me finish, sir? Israel was his
No,
people
because
in
you're
the
just
Old
preaching
Testament
at me.
before Jesus was. Before Jesus, I'm not
I
just
think
preaching at you.
I
I'm
think
telling
this
you
was a good comment that I have in one of my
Israel was his people.
chats where they
Yeah.
said he doesn't want to argue. He just wants you to know his imaginary friend really loves you.
Right. And that's not love, dude. That
Okay,
is a sick mockery of love.
Listen, I'm not trying to mock love. Look, Israel was his people before Jesus came, and the Gentiles were wild creatures according to God. They did not know God. So anything that the Gentiles did, they would die for it. But now that Jesus came, Jesus died on the cross for the whole world. Now everyone has the access to the love of God the same. So if
The
you believe in
Let
Jesus,
me-
then you become God's
Weird
people.
statement.
God will do
Let me
things
ask
for
you a quick
as
question.
well.
Let me ask you some questions, Joshua. Is there
Sure, go ahead.
anything in the world that God does not control?
Anything in the world that God does not control? All right, look. We have free will, right? God knows
Not what I asked you.
the implications. Okay, you just asked me a question. I'm answering it, okay?
You didn't answer it.
I'm
You
answering
moved
your
to another
question.
thing. I'm asking you straight up. Does God control everything in the world? Does he have control over it?
Yes, but not our free will.
Not our free will. That goes against what the Bible says too.
He is all
Another
sovereign, but
question.
he
Does
can't
God
control what we
does
decide to do. He decides
he
to limit
can
his power in that
he
way.
can control what we decide to do. He can control
So he's
what you
not
decide to do, and he does
omnipotent nor
so
ever
several
present.
times. Also, that goes against
Tell me-
several points, including the story of Lucifer, but that's not the point. The point is, does anything happen in the world that goes against God's plan? Does anything go against what God has planned out for the world? Is he knowing everything and has everything in line and in place? Or are we able to change God's plan and go against it?
Ultimately, God has a good plan for you if you accept him, but you're able to be away from God if you want to be. If you want to be separate from God, you can.
So it is possible to go against God's will and do things that he doesn't want.
Yes, it is able. You can do that. God is not controlling every one of us like.
Let me try a different way. We'll make it a little bit easier. Last time I sinned, which again, I don't think sin is real, but let's just pretend for a second. The last time I sinned, could I have done something different of my own free will? Did I have a choice? Or was I forced to sin in that moment?
You could have not sinned.
Great. And the time before that, and the time before that, and the time before that. Every single time I sinned, I could have
That was you.
freely chosen not to do it, right?
That was you.
Right. So if we agree that sin is something that is freely chosen, then logically, I'm not saying this is likely, but is it logically possible, Joshua, that just by total free will, I made the right choice every single time, and for my entire life, I never once commit any sins totally freely? Is that possible?
So give me what you said again. So you said by total free will, it's okay.
I'll break it down even.
Whatever you did.
Yeah, I'll break it down. We agreed that the last time I sinned, and every time that I have sinned, it was by my own free will, and I could have freely chosen not to sin. Every single time I've sinned, I had the option not to. So I'm asking you then, it would make sense to say that logically speaking, it is technically possible that I could have lived a completely sin-free life. Is it possible for a person who isn't Jesus to live without sin their entire life, totally of their own free will?
I mean, you could try, but it's nearly impossible. I've sinned.
I didn't ask if it was
Everyone's
nearly
sinned in the
impossible. I
world.
asked, is it possible? Is it logically possible that that happens?
Jesus is the example.
I asked you, is it logically possible that I lived my entire life with no sin of my own free
Jesus
will?
did it. Jesus did it.
I didn't ask what Jesus did. I asked you to be consistent in your logic. Is it possible for a person to live without sin of their own free will? Completely start to finish, no sins.
All right, so let's break this question. Let's break this answer that I'm going to give you down.
Shouldn't
okay?
be a difficult
So
answer. It's
This is
just
not
the extension
difficult,
of what
man.
you said.
This is why I think it's impossible that everyday humans can't sin, right? We have a flesh. We like to do things that like are temporarily good. Our happiness, we'd like to be happy and stuff. Forgive me, but I have limited time. I'm probably gonna have to leave in like 3 minutes or something.
I'm trying to hurry you through this, Joshua. This is a really simple question. Either yes or no. Is it possible for a human being to go their entire life without sin of their own free will? Is that possible?
No.
Okay, well then you've answered everything for me. It doesn't matter about free will then. It is impossible for us to not sin, which means we are all destined for hell unless we do the thing where we accept Jesus and everything, which means God, who knows everything, past, present, and future, knows right now whether or not any one of us is going to go to hell, and he made us anyway, just so that he would see us tortured later. That is evil.
God knows what you could do. Okay.
No, but he also knows what I will do. He knows everything, past, present, and future. So it doesn't matter what I could do.
Yes.
Plus, you just admitted that I have no choice in the matter. I am going to sin.
Can I finish my thought, please?
God,
you already just put your God in a trap, dude.
He doesn't know. He doesn't just know the future. He is in the future. Okay.
Right.
If that's true, then he would never have a reason to say that he regretted a choice that he made. So that's not true.
Right.
Well, it was really nice talking to you guys. You have a good time.
I wish I could say the same, Joshua.
Well, Jesus loves you. I hope you come to your senses. And bye-bye.
Hail Satan.
Yeah, Joshua, I care for you regardless of that insult.
Just hail Satan. I don't know. And I was right. Yeah. It is Deuteronomy 22, 23
you pray
through 27.
For me, we'll think for you. It's all copacetic.
We'll be positive, okay?
Anyway, we've got
got a couple of callers now.
We've got a couple more, and lines are still open. We got 3 people waiting right now. We want to talk about politics, but lines are still open if you want to call in and talk. 336-543-2101. If you want to tell us about Jesus or
and
Trump.
Then, for those that are watching, I believe there should be a link to the Patreon in the video description on YouTube. So, sorry. I got to remember last time when we didn't say it, they were like, did you guys mention Patreon? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. So, guys, Patreon in the description on YouTube.
Hey, that's a thing.
That's a thing.
Let's do, I'm going to take number 15. I think
I agree.
A lot of fun.
I'm good with that one.
Let's talk to Grant, who says that they support ICE. Grant, you're on the line with Forrest Nari. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How about y'all?
I'm all right. Grant, really quickly, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Awesome. And Grant, we've got about almost 2,500 people watching right now. When those people talk about this call, when they refer to us in the chat, would you prefer them refer to you as a he, a she, a they, or something else?
I'm a guy.
Okay, and would you like for the chat to refer to you as a he, a she, a they, or something else?
Whatever they want. It doesn't matter.
All right, Grant, any and all pronouns. Very progressive of you, Grant. Any and all pronouns for Grant, whatever you want to use. And Grant, are you driving right now?
Yeah. Is my audio not good?
No, we can't take calls from people who are driving. Can you pull over?
Oh. Yeah, I'm actually like 2 minutes from my destination.
Okay, great. Can I put you back in the queue and return back to your call here in just a minute? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, I really do want to talk to you, but we just can't do it. It's an ethical issue. So we'll talk to you in just a minute, Grant.
Okay.
All right, really quickly, I believe we can probably work through this one somewhat quick. Let's talk to Charlie, who wants to talk about life beginning at conception. Charlie, you're on the line with Forrest Nari. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm all right. What do you want to talk about?
Just to double check, is my sound okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to discuss the topic of abortion and see how you guys feel about that.
First of all, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you still supporting Trump, or did you support him?
Well, the last election, the 2024 election, I wasn't 18 yet, so I couldn't vote yet. I honestly, I have some, like, I agree with some Democratic views and then some Republican views. I wouldn't say I'm a Trump supporter. I don't really agree with nearly anything that he's doing right now. But I do agree. I do disagree with some Democratic views and then some Republicans, so I'm more in the center.
Gotcha. Okay. And where is a woman's glabella?
I'm not sure.
For those in the chat who are curious. It's right up there. All right, man.
Okay. Just had
so
to get two questions out of the way.
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Just so you know, Charlie, a woman's glabella is in the same place yours is. The glabella is that smooth part between your brow ridges. So you have the kind of bumps, what we call your supraorbital torus or your superciliary arches where your eyebrows sit. Right in between there, you got a little smooth place. That's called your glabella, just so you know. Not as sexy as you'd think it was, but not sexy. So tell us now, Charlie, why do you think that... what do you want to talk about with abortion? Because it sounds like you're anti-choice.
Well, I'm not 100% sure of what your guys' views are, so I'm curious.
I'm into it.
Just to get this out of the way, what are your guys' views?
I'm super into it.
Okay. No matter
Pro-choice.
in
not my
any
business.
situation.
No. If
any
you're pregnant,
situation?
you don't want to be. If you're not pregnant, and you don't want to be anymore. You should get an abortion if you want.
No matter how far along.
I believe that access to abortion should be always available to women. I believe that just as doctors already don't do, they're not going to abort a healthy fetus after the point of viability. At that point, they would just deliver.
Mm-hmm.
But restricting access to abortion, even for what is considered the third trimester, or late term, as people incorrectly call it, it just puts women's lives in danger.
Okay, but what about the situations where it's just like they're in the first trimester? You guys are in favor of that? Just to double check.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't want to be, if you are pregnant
so
and you don't want to be pregnant anymore, you should have the option to get an abortion, period.
Yeah. Not my business.
Okay. So when do you think the life of a human being begins?
Doesn't matter.
Fertilization.
Okay. So, and you believe that taking the life of a human being is wrong, correct?
Usually.
I grant it the idea of humanity, but I don't grant it the sentience.
Okay. So if it's conscious, then it's deserving of life, correct?
No, don't even say that either.
Okay.
Because
so
even
when
now,
is it
I don't know if you realize
deserving of
this. Like, we grant exceptions to murder as it is right now, even in our legal system.
Like, well, yeah. Like, give me an example of that.
Not guilty by reason of self-defense or not guilty by reason of insanity. Stand your ground laws.
Yeah.
The home defense
but in
laws.
those situations,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's still an exception to murder.
No, yeah. But what I should reword my saying. Do you believe that obviously in those situations there is that person is not an innocent life? Do you believe that
Innocence has no factor.
should be protected?
Yeah, it's not important to me.
It doesn't.
Innocence has no
So-
factor.
So that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's because it's not fitting within the heuristics that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Ari, I want you to
that
know
obviously
that I am doing so good right now, trying not
Yeah.
to talk over you, because one of my favorite things to do when I'm talking about abortion and there's a woman on the line is to talk over and then be like, men are talking. It's so fucking funny, but I'm trying really hard right now to be good.
You're doing all right. You're doing all right. If you need to chime in, you just let me know.
I will later. It's
Yeah.
just I love when it's only dudes talking about abortion, and especially when there's a woman just sitting right there, and just don't. It fucking kills me, dude.
Just forget about me. It's okay.
just don't worry about it. We got this. The men are speaking.
The men are
Goddamn.
speaking.
All right, Charlie, tell us why we're wrong. Why should we not support abortion early on or
Wait,
whatever?
actually, I would like to, Charlie, before we jump into that, I would like to.
Forrest.
That's hilarious. I would like to test your ideology behind pro-life for a second.
Yeah.
Are you pro or against the death penalty?
Well, I think it depends on the situations. Obviously, in the most severe situations,
So you're pro the death penalty. Got it. If you allow an exception, it's automatically going to be a pro. Are you for or against all children getting free school lunches?
I am pro.
Okay, fantastic.
I
Are
support
you?
that, yeah.
Yeah. Are you pro or against all children under 18 and under getting access to free healthcare?
Well, define healthcare.
Preventative care.
Literally anything that would improve their health, mental or physical. If a doctor of any kind is like, you need this thing, it's free.
So I think I'm going to tally that as an against because you needed an explainer.
Well, certain people define it in certain ways. Like some people define healthcare as gender reaffirming surgery, which I don't believe is necessary for people under 18. So I would not support that if that was the case.
Cool. So against, got it.
Yep.
So
Do you
far,
consider that to be healthcare?
Where'd you get your medical training?
What?
Where'd you get your medical training?
I'm asking you if you consider that to be healthcare. It doesn't need medical training.
I consider what all major medical associations in this country to be considered excuse me. What all major medical associations in this country say is healthcare, I consider that healthcare. And that includes gender affirming care, including for minors, because that's what they support.
So would you consider plastic surgery to be healthcare?
Sometimes it can be, yeah. Sometimes it's cosmetic. Other times it actually is really good healthcare, yeah.
Plastic surgeons and plastic surgery is covered if somebody, let's say, as an example, was burned severely. That's considered plastic surgery, and that's cosmetic. It may or may not be covered by health insurance, and I disagree with that entirely.
But there are other times where it actually is legitimate healthcare as well. There's reconstructive.
Yep.
There's reconstructive plastic surgeries that allow you to live a better life. There's, even if we talk about gender affirming care, yeah, that actually shows improved mental and physical health outcomes. So yeah, that's a useful thing. That is absolutely life-saving care in some cases. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I listen to what the doctors say.
Okay. Yeah, well, I just think that I don't think that boob jobs and other forms of plastic surgery should be considered healthcare because it's not necessary for the human life. Obviously, in some situations it is, like the ones you were saying. But
you should go to college and write a paper about it and publish it in a medical journal and discuss it.
Yeah, get accredited, man. Free child care for every parent in the United States of America for kids 18 and under. Do you support or are you against that?
I support that.
So right now we're 2 for 2, and then obviously the obvious pro-life option of being anti-abortion. Okay, now you can continue. I'll pass the floor back to you.
Okay, so you said that we should basically follow what medical professions say, because obviously they devote their whole life to studying this, and we should listen to their information. Well, 96% of biologists agree that the human life begins at fertilization.
Did you read past the
if
abstract?
Sorry, what was that?
Did you read past the abstract
What do you mean?
of what you're quoting of the 5,534 scientists polled 96% of them? Did you read past the abstract? Did you read the actual paper? Or did you read your ChatGPT synopsis or Reddit thread or just the abstract, which is a very brief summarization of what is written within the review, and they leave out words in their summarization? So did you read past the abstract?
No, could you tell me what it says?
Sure. Cellular life begins at conception, is what they said. Not that it was actual physical, living, breathing human life. Specifically, they said it was cellular life begins.
Also, I want to point out that, like, a minute ago you asked, when does life begin? I am a biologist, and I said I don't care, it doesn't matter. Because whether life begins when you're a twinkle in your mother's eye doesn't change anything about my stance on abortion. Because my morals aren't rooted in that.
Yep. I said fertilization because the majority of fertilized embryos are discarded automatically by the body.
Right.
Well, the source says 96% of 5,577 biologists affirm that a human's life begins at fertilization, not
cellular life. Read past the abstract. You have to pay to read what you're reading. Try doing that.
You probably get a PDF. What paper are we talking about right now?
It's the Charlotte Lozier Institute.
Well, I think I went away for a second. What paper are we discussing?
He's literally quoting Lozier, who is... Yeah, Lozier, who's an extremely anti-abortion group. Automatically, they're misquoting the original one.
What was the original one?
Yep, let me pull it back up. It's been a while.
I'm looking at scientific consensus on human rights begins. So I've got this one that I just found on PubMed. Peer-reviewed journals and biological and life sciences literature published articles represent biological view of when the human life begins at fertilization, aka the fertilization view. As these statements are typically ordered without explanation or citation, the fertilization view seems to be uncontested by the editors, reviewers, and authors who contribute to scientific journals. However, Americans are split on whether fertilization, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Does this actually go into, since recent studies says 80% of Americans view biologists as the group most qualified to determine this?
That's why I say you have to go past
the abstract.
So
this is saying biologists from 1,058 academic institutions around the world assess survey items on when human life begins, and overall 96% affirm the fertilization view. So is this what you're talking about here?
Where is it from?
This is published by Jacobs. And Jacobs 2021 in Issues in Law and Medicine journal, looks like.
Let me see. It might, I don't know, it might be a different survey, but...
No, it's the same survey. They're counting the same number. It's 5,577, which is Lozier. They just remake it again. Lozier, who's an extreme anti-abortion, I wouldn't trust anything that they said. Similarly enough that I wouldn't trust most publications that, let's say, Planned Parenthood puts out that's pro-abortion, because they're going to be leaning in bias.
Also, he sent out, so he said that 96% responded. N equals 5,502. for that 96%. But it also says here that the total number of surveys that he sent out, he picked biologists who could be identified from institutional faculty and researcher lists, and the total number of surveys he sent was 62,469, of which he only got 5,500 responses. Of those, 96% were in this fertilization view. So most biologists didn't care to respond, and the ones that did, you now have sampling bias. These are people that care about this issue. Why didn't he report that?
Why didn't he report the ones who didn't respond?
As like, why didn't he include that consideration? That is a response rate of 0.09%. Pardon me, that's not right. Sorry. That is, yes, sorry, 8.8%. I forgot to fucking, I'm a bad scientist. I forgot to fucking multiply by 100 there. But like, yeah, this is it. So you got 9% response rate. And of that 9% of people who cared enough to talk about it, 96% agreed with this view. So if somebody sent me this survey, I might not even reply because I don't give a fuck. That would not mean that I am affirming this view. This is not representative of 96.
Not to participate in it.
No, but it is dishonest to then quote this paper and say 96% of all biologists, which is what you said. You said 96% of all biologists agree. That's not true.
Nope.
96% of biologists who received and returned a survey agree with this, which is about 5,000 of them out of tens of thousands of people.
Of the 5,500.
Right, but that's not what you said the first time.
No, that's not what you said. All biologists. I'm the one that put a number to it because I have a neurospicy brain and I remember the number. In fact, I even said the number was wrong. I said 5,534 when it was 5,577. I put that on there, and that's when you didn't. You didn't. You stop being a liar.
Well, we can go back. You know this is recorded. This is recorded. I'm actually going to rewind it right now on my side and see if we can actually find that moment.
Okay, well, even if I didn't, what difference does that make? It's
dishonesty.
It means that you fell for the clickbait headline because you didn't look into the thing that you're talking about. And the clickbait headline is 96% of all biologists agree on this. That's not true, nor has it been accurately measured. But again, the point remains, I am a biologist, and I'm telling you, this question doesn't even fucking matter. Because whether or not a person with a uterus has bodily autonomy is a different question from when life begins. It doesn't matter when life begins, unless you are arguing, because you said here, any human life is deserving of human rights. That's what you put in the call screen. If that's true, then a fertilized embryo has all the same rights as a human being, a full-fledged human being, and that does not include the right to use someone else's body against their will for sustenance. And the mother also has the right to say, nobody gets to use my body without my consent for sustenance. That's a right that all humans have.
Well, obviously, like an embryo wouldn't have the same rights as like an adult human being because there's certain rights that you disagree then. For.
You disagree then because you were saying human life begins at conception or fertilization.
Yeah.
And you also said all human life deserves all human rights. So that means that a fertilized egg gets all the same rights as a fully fledged human being. Which is what I'm saying.
Human rights
I'm saying that all fertilized eggs have the same rights as all human beings. And that's why I support abortion care.
Human rights being the right to life, liberty, freedom, freedom from slavery and torture, and freedom of expression. Now, obviously, you're not going to give an embryo the right to vote or the right to drive a.
And you also agree
you have to meet certain qualifications.
And you also have the human right to not be forced to have anybody leech off of your body and use it for sustenance against your will, right? If you and I were the same blood type and I were to walk up to you and try to take one of your organs because I need it, you can say no. You have that right to autonomy, right?
Well, in that situation, there's a difference. Obviously,
No, there's not.
There's no such thing as the right to being saved. Obviously, if someone was in need of blood, they can't come up and get my blood because that's a difference. That's not a direct invalidation of the right to life.
Great.
If you deliberately kill a living
person
human,
with a person with a uterus has the right to terminate that pregnancy, and if that embryo dies, they didn't have a right to be saved, so they died. It's fine.
Yeah,
We
I
agree.
mean, it's the same thing. They're not entitled to my blood after all.
pulling it.
They're not entitled to my blood.
No,
You
but
just
you're
said that.
deliberately killing it.
But you just said that they're not
No.
entitled to my blood. No one else is entitled to my own blood. So
We could, and besides, not every abortion is actively killing an embryo or a fetus or anything.
yeah,
You're
it's
just
the
stopping
termination.
implantation. You're terminating the pregnancy in some other way. There's also, I think there are specific types of abortion where you just like early premature delivery. So like, no, you're not necessarily killing a thing. You're just terminating a pregnancy. And if that thing dies on its own, it didn't have the right to be saved, like you said.
Well, obviously, it has to reach a certain point in life to be able to survive on its own. Obviously, you can't leave a newborn out or else it can't survive for itself. Obviously, if you put it on the table and you don't give it any food or water, it's obviously going to die on its own.
Mm-hmm. And that has anything to do with what we're talking about? How?
None.
So if you were to have a baby, and you were just to set it on the counter and not do anything with it for weeks, you would consider that you wouldn't consider that murder?
We're talking about fetuses, not babies. Keep up.
You're just moving to another topic.
Okay, well, let's
pivoting.
just say. No,
You
let's
want to
just
switch
say, 'cause
topics away from
okay,
abortion
so
then? You want to switch topics away from
No,
abortion
I'm
then?
giving an example.
This isn't an example. It's not comparable.
If
Is
you're-
it?
It's not
Brother,
one
if
to
you
one.
If you
How
give
is
an
that not
example, I'm
possible?
also going to give an example.
Do it.
What's your example?
My mother has my same blood type. I am a 33-year-old man. She is my biological mother. She is of the same blood type as me. If I today am in need of blood transfusion or a kidney or a liver, can I forcibly take it from her?
No, because there's a difference in rights.
Great.
I'm talking about
So
the
what
right
about
to life.
what
and
about
that is
when
the right
I
to be
was
saved.
what about when I was an infant? What about when I was a totally helpless infant? If I needed a blood transfusion, should she be forced to give me one?
No. No.
Right.
Oh.
And so what you're saying is, when I was born, I lost rights. When I was in my mother, I had the right to use her body against her will. But once I was out, I lost that right, and now she no longer is forced to sustain me with her body.
That's so interesting.
That doesn't sound like equal rights. That sounds like
Well-
special rights. And also that means
in
that if
most
you have a
cases-
uterus, you also lose rights while you're alive, but you gain rights after you're dead, because we can't use somebody's organs after they die, like organ donation. We can't do that without their consent. So when somebody with a uterus is born, they lose the right to use somebody else's body, but they also lose the rights over their own body until they die. Then they gain the rights over their own body again. And me, I've had the same rights the whole time.
Well, in most cases of abortions, it doesn't
Oh,
put
we weren't
the
talking about
mother's life
abortion.
at risk.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah, but like you were talking about how if given the situation, they were basically leeching off the mother, and they were using the nutrients that the mother has and to keep it alive, then they should have the right to abort it. And I'm just saying that basically it's in the situation of the kidney and the blood, that could potentially cause later health issues down the line. Obviously, if
So
the
could
mother's
pregnancy.
life is at risk, then
Just so you know, pregnancy and delivery also causes lifelong health effects. Lots of them can be bad. Pregnancy is not a benign condition. It's not like you just get a little bit big and poop out a baby and everything's fine. It is a
100
very, very traumatic condition.
Yeah, 100% of all pregnancies have the ability to be life-threatening to the mother. 100% of them.
well, yeah, but some are more severe than others.
Uh-huh. And so we should make sure that if people are pregnant and they don't want to be anymore for whatever reason, that they should be able to not be pregnant anymore. Because if we put that line there and say, well, you have to be this much life threatened as opposed to that, your life has to be X amount threatened before we do, then we are putting an arbitrary line there, which will lead to negative health outcomes, increased maternal mortality, increased infant mortality, as we see everywhere we have abortion restrictions. Far better than to preserve freedom and to tell people that they have equal rights, whether or not they have a uterus, and that they should be able to get an abortion if they want one for whatever reason, and that is between them and their doctor, because that's what doctors are for. And that was the end of Charlie. He just hung up.
Oh, I was wondering. I didn't even notice that it moved. I noticed that it moved, but I didn't see why it moved. I was scrolling down to see who hung up, but damn.
Yep. Anyway, consistency is fun. Let's talk to Grant, who was our last person and has been waiting patiently for a very long time. Grant, we brought you back on. Are you still there?
Yes, I am, and I'm no longer driving.
Oh, we can tell the
Amazing.
difference. Thank you, man.
I really appreciate you holding on for so long. Very cool of you. I suspect we are going to leave this call grumpier than we were starting it because you're calling in about ICE, but I do want to sincerely express my gratitude that you hung on and that you were patient with us. That's very nice.
I just saw this comment.
Thanks,
Charlie aborted the call. That was the best comment. God damn.
Anyway, Grant, lay it on us, man. What are you calling about?
Well, first off, I've done some thinking, and my pronouns actually changed since the last time I was on. I do want to be referred to as Christos and Anesti, and that it sounds like I'm making a joke, but no, that is my genuine preference.
So the issue here, Grant, goddamn. See, this is what I'm talking about. I knew we'd be grumpy with each other, but I was happy where it started.
No,
those aren't pronouns. Those aren't pronouns. That was the issue.
Those are mine.
Yeah, but those aren't pronouns. Do you know what a pronoun is?
Yeah, it's a way to refer to someone. I don't know the exact definition, but it's
just a word. It replaces a
Oh,
noun. You see, it replaces a noun. Yeah, and so what you've given us here are not pronouns in the English language.
Oh, it's what I use. So, anyways.
Well, I tell you what, Grant. Here's what I can do. We can, if you want to say, if you use neo-pronouns, like a woke liberal, then that's, whatever. But if that's the case, I'm going to call you out anytime you use any other pronoun.
Okay. Well, that's what I use for myself specifically.
Well, see, just
are you
right
saying
there,
you don't have them?
you just said I and myself. Those are both pronouns that aren't the kind of thing that you were just referring to.
Oops.
They only replace he and him.
Well, that doesn't really work because that would just mean that your pronouns are he and him. You said any and all earlier on, and now you're saying that they're specifically just replacing he and him. So I can still call you she, and that would be just fine.
So the reason I said any and all, I forgot that I have a kind of a pact that I made with myself many years ago. If there's ever the chance to write on pronouns, I will use the maximum amount of characters to write my pronouns. And so there are several doctor offices that have my pronouns change, obviously. Yeah, that's something I stick to. And I forgot that I did that when you asked me earlier. I was kind of caught off guard. I'm not used to being asked pronouns.
I can't imagine putting in that much effort just to be weird
It's a
about
lot of thought
like
process.
English grammar. Like that's just, it's simple grammar. I'm a cisgender man. I use he, him pronouns. People refer to me as a he, and I'm cool with it. That's not a concept that I thought would be difficult in the year of our Dark Lord 2026, but here we are.
Yeah, a very beautiful thing about it is all that effort happens when I'm sitting there waiting for a doctor or usually in a waiting room when I'm filling something out and waiting. So it's it's just something that I do.
Right. Why do you think that it is that we talk about pronouns? Like, why do you think we ask people for pronouns?
I believe that your internal justifications are that it's quicker to know someone's pronouns so you don't have to ask them.
Well, I did ask you. I asked you for your pronouns.
Yeah.
So why would I have done such a thing?
That's why I was asked earlier in the call. The reason I assume that is because the last two callers, they had their pronouns listed, and you said, thank you saved us some time.
Yeah,
'Cause they
so
gave it to
why
the
did we
screener.
ask in the first place? Like, why did the screener ask for their pronouns so we could list them on the screen? Why do you think we do this?
I assume that y'all have some people that use other pronouns that call into the show, and you want to be respectful to them.
It's every single person that calls into the show uses pronouns. And it's not always obvious from their voice what those pronouns are. And also, back in the day, it used to be that if you listed your pronouns, basically only a transgender person might do such a thing, and it was basically outing themselves. And so now it's just kind of like unifying everybody to say, hey, this is an important thing for everybody. It actually is really convenient for everybody to do. And it also protects people who are marginalized and just don't need that attention. So, like, it's just good for all of us. It kind of falls apart whenever people pick things that aren't pronouns to be pronouns.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work very well.
Oh, yeah. And therein lies, I think you figured out why I do it.
No, I didn't.
Be
You're
an
worried about
asshole?
neopronouns?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So you're
exactly.
just trying
I
to
think it's
mock
funny.
people, right?
Yeah, I think it's funny.
Okay.
Okay, why? What's the joke?
It makes me laugh.
Where's
Right,
the
what's joke?
punchline?
Explain it. Tell us what's funny about it.
The punchline is that, and this really started, like I said, the first time it happened was at a doctor's office, that someone is asking me to identify myself.
You're telling
and
the
I have
joke right
something-
now. I'm waiting for the punchline. That's the joke.
Like
This
what-
is your lead up
understand
to
that
the
y'all don't
joke.
think it's
Where's the
funny.
punchline?
I understand
Right, because where's the
that y'all
punchline? I don't
think it's
need you to
funny.
tell your joke again. Where's the punchline? I just want to know where that was, because I think we
Yeah,
missed
I'm
it.
explaining. It's just,
No,
I give.
no, you're
I give
retelling the
them, They ask
joke.
me a question. I give them something ridiculous. That
No, that's the
there are no
joke.
grounds to say that they.
You're telling the joke
it's not-
again.
Yeah, I get it. You put a stupid thing on a paper to give them a ridiculous answer. Why is that funny?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why is that funny?
I know it's not that funny, y'all, but it gives me a chuckle.
Right, I'm asking why. What's funny about it?
How do I define why it makes me laugh? I don't really know how to explain that.
Because like the reality of the situation is, at the very best, you're just wasting somebody's time and annoying them, and at the very worst, you are participating in a culture that is mocking and making fun of transgender people, which leads to further harm for that community, which isn't doing anything to you. So you're just making life worse for innocent people by participating in what you think is a silly joke that is actually like a widespread social issue.
Yeah, I just,
Or
I
maybe
hope
just
to,
wasting
hope that
somebody's
someone
time.
else will get a chuckle out of it as well. When I send a screenshot to one of my buddies' group chats, they laugh. So it brings a little bit more joy into the world to laugh.
I don't really care about bringing joy to bigots. It's not really my interest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm
okay.
So would you like to pick normal human pronouns, like regular English ones? Or do you really want to just hold
no,
on to this joke? Because this will be the
But-
tone for the rest of the call.
That's fine. Yeah, y'all don't have to use them if you don't want to. You can just call me Grant.
Well, here's the thing, Grant. You said you first do this at the doctor, so I'm guessing you trust that doctors are well educated. When you go to see a doctor, you trust that she knows what she's doing and she's going to take good care of you, right?
I have a moderate level of trust in doctors.
Right. So when a doctor gives you advice, medical advice, you kind of just filter. You don't take that seriously, considering the fact that they went to medical school for a very long time.
I would consider medical advice from a doctor higher than I would from someone that's not a doctor. So yeah, I would definitely weigh their profession into how much I listen to it, which would be a good bit.
Okay, great. And so the fact that every major medical association and the World Health every major medical association in this country and like pretty much every other developed nation and the World Health Organization all affirm transgender people and are totally in support of them, as well as the rest of modern biology, anthropology, sociology, psychology, and all of biomedical sciences, all on the side of trans people. You don't care about that when it comes to you being an asshole about pronouns.
I wouldn't say I don't care about it. Like I said, I'll weigh doctors or people that are professionals. I would weigh their opinions higher. That doesn't necessarily mean I will agree with everything that they say, and that's something that I don't necessarily agree with.
Just out of curiosity, do you have any medical training?
No, nothing more than just basic sports science I know from MMA and rock climbing.
Okay, so any training at all in anything tangential, biology, sociology, biomedical sciences, psychology, anthropology, any of those fields that I just listed a second ago, any of those?
I've taken some classes in related fields, but not really.
Okay, so you've maybe taken some related classes and you did some rock climbing and MMA, and that is why you feel that it's important to write bogus pronouns and waste people's time and contribute to the suffering of innocent transgender people, even though the doctor that you are there to see affirms their existence and understands the difference between sex and gender, because that is modern medical science. Just to be clear on all that.
Hold on, I lost you for a second. Can you paraphrase that in just like a few words?
Yeah. You're being a dick for no reason is a few words.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Right. Why? Why is that the kind of person you want to be?
I think it's funny, and it's part of my personality. I don't.
Is to be an asshole. So your personality is just to be an asshole and make people's lives worse around you because it gives you a chuckle.
Yeah, I work construction. That's how we function.
Oh, actually, I've known a lot of construction workers in my day. They were really kind and generous people who wouldn't act that way. So I don't know what construction company you work at, but I hope I never hire them. Sounds like it all makes sense, though. I will be clear. You called in saying that you support ICE and all this stuff, and it tracks. It makes sense now. I understand why we don't have to have that debate. I understand why you support ICE, because you think it's okay to just be a dickhead and make people's lives worse if it makes you happy. And I think that's a sociopathic way to behave, and only somebody like that would support ICE.
He also probably just thinks it's funny.
I would say that is not at all a factor in why I support them. But yeah, the reason I put that in is y'all were talking about it when I originally called in.
Yeah, we're talking about it because they're violating the Constitution and terrorizing communities and causing undue harm to innocent people, which you think is great because you behave that way all the time, you just said. So just harming innocent people for no other reason than it's fun.
Yeah.
That's your modus operandi, so it makes sense.
Me having a light laugh by kind of lightly mocking something that I think is ridiculous is not the equivalent of me wanting to like put serious harm on anyone. Yeah.
Is it having a light laugh to make racist jokes? If you were out there writing racial slurs on your doctor's forums because you thought it was funny, would that be appropriate?
Yeah, absolutely. Stand-up comedians use them all the time.
So there you go. You think it's okay to hurt anybody because you don't understand why words have meaning and why they can be harmful to people, because you think it's funny and you care about nobody but yourself. So this is why you support ICE. It makes sense.
I don't believe that jokes and words like that can directly cause harm. I believe harm can be received from them, but I believe that's entirely the choice of the person.
So you support bullying?
Exactly. When people participate in these jokes, quote, quote, when people participate in these words, when people do these things, it creates a social situation where the people that are the butt of those jokes, people of color, trans people, whatever it is you're making fun of, are now at more risk of hate crimes, are at more risk of harm, are at more risk of psychological harm, are at more risk of depression, suicidality, because the world that they live in is making fun of them and treating them like shit for no other reason than the fact that they think it's funny to make other people feel like shit.
Yeah.
So the same reason why we allowed, when racist jokes were much more prevalent and we had a lot more racial discrimination and segregation because that was allowed and normalized, now we have a lot more discrimination against transgender people. Transgender people, both men and women, are 4 times more likely to experience violent harm, murder, rape, assault than cisgender people, because we live in a world where people like you think it's funny just to make fun of them all the time for no reason because you think they're silly and you never studied science to learn about them. And now they are more at risk of depression and suicidality, knowing that they live in that world that you are contributing to making so shitty. And you don't understand how you're a part of that. You are either not paying very much attention or you are truly just deeply selfish.
Yeah.
So I know that every single possible class of people, type of people, every category has been made fun of, has been the butt of a joke, myself included, in so many ways. I don't think that like trying to eliminate that is actually going to do anything positive at all. If anything, making light of serious stuff is how a lot of people get by in a lot of ways. I know that's something I've always, like, you know, at a funeral of a loved one, you know, I have a friend come over and make a light joke about it, and we laugh, and that helps ease the pain. So I don't think it's,
just out of curiosity, how many bills in this country, how many bills, like legal bills, have been proposed to try to take away your rights this year?
Take away my rights, like, directly?
Not directly, just your class.
Yeah, whatever class of person you fall into.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Let me think. I couldn't point to a single bill, like a specific bill, and say this is doing this, which will do this to do this. But that's not to say
so
that there's,
just
you know,
so
there's not
you
some out there.
know,
I don't think our government. Hold on.
Right.
I don't believe that our government has our best interest in mind at all.
I agree with that, but just so you know, just in 2026, so in the past 4 months, 767 bills across 43 states have been proposed specifically targeting transgender people and trying to take away their rights.
Not even bringing up all of the bills that have been targeting immigrants in this country or even naturalized citizens.
So when you're sitting here saying, well, it's fun to make light of a bad situation, I also have a very dark sense of humor. I also like to make jokes about things. But when I'm in public and I'm dealing with strangers, not close personal friends that understand my humor and all these things, I'm going to behave very differently, because when I participate in that kind of shitty behavior in a big public setting, what I'm actually doing is contributing to making the world worse and making any problems that exist worse. If we were back in the 1950s and I was making racist jokes, it doesn't matter what my personal intentions are, that I just have dark humor. I am perpetuating racism and making it harder for equal rights to take effect. Same thing's happening here, Grant. When you participate in this in a public way because you think it's so funny, you are making life harder for transgender people by keeping the Overton window fixed on them and whether or not they deserve to exist in our society. And that, again, makes a lot of sense. If you're an ICE supporter, you don't care about, you know, citizens being detained for no reason. You don't care about violations of the Constitution. You don't care about any of these things because it doesn't affect you. So why would you care about hurting transgender people because you thought it was a silly thing to do? It's just generally selfish, dickish behavior.
Okay. What were you saying?
I said it's dickish, selfish behavior.
No, I heard you. The other host was saying something that I interrupted.
Said you don't care because as long as it gives you a laugh, it makes you feel good. So you lack empathy.
So, a few things about that. So let's see. First, when you talked about the difference between like private people that know my humor and the public, absolutely. When I meet someone in public and like coworkers or just random strangers, I treat everyone with respect. That's what. Yeah, that's.
But you didn't do that in the doctor's
almost-
office.
No, you didn't do that here. You
Or
didn't
in
do
the
that to the
doctor's office.
doctors, right? You didn't do that to the doctor's office, and you also just disrespected a bunch of people in front of 2,000 people here on the internet. We are live broadcasting to over 2,000 people, and you just disrespected trans folks. So I don't think that's true at all, Grant.
Okay, well, if you took offense to my joke, which I know wasn't funny, if you took offense to it, forgive me. But that being said, so in my personal life and public, I treat everyone with respect. This is a live and call-in show. It's entertaining, so of course I'm going to joke a little bit more. I'm going to be a little bit more over the top. Well, I'm not lying or not misrepresenting my beliefs. I don't think there's anything wrong with hamming it up for a little bit of entertainment value. And yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the only
I don't
entertainment
cons-
value here is that you yourself are the joke at this point.
kind of made an ass out of yourself right away.
I understand that. I called into an oppositional show, and that's fine. That's cool.
Anyway, would you like to tell us really quickly why you support the right-wing fascists who are detaining people based on their skin color or their accents, and have already detained over 100 American citizens, and have lost over 3,000 detainees in their concentration camps, and have suffered, are having to defend the reports from the ACLU, Amnesty International, internal whistleblowers, and U.S. citizens that they've unlawfully detained about the torturous conditions they are putting people in, with urine and feces flooding the floors, moldy food being served to people, denying people prescription medications, beating people to the point of death, dropping a blind man out in freezing temperatures to die in the cold, deporting people to countries they've never been to. Any of that? Would you like to tell us why you support Nazi tactics?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of similar to the way y'all were grilling me about the pronoun thing, where you're like, well, why do you, you're essentially saying, why do you want to harm the trans people by making this joke when you could just not? So the thing is, I don't believe that my joke is actually harming those people. And if I'm wrong with that, then that's my burden to bear. Similarly, with ICE, like the way that you just categorized them, I don't agree with that they are doing most of those things. Or if some
all
of
of
those
these
happen,
things
I
are
don't
well
believe
documented.
Yeah,
I can provide proof
I
for
mean,
any of the claims that I just gave you.
Yeah. So what I was saying, I don't believe that they're doing most of those things, and even if some of those happen, I don't believe that it's the intention or it's part of the structure. If anything, I do agree that they need to be tighter. I mean, anything dealing, ICE is a federal law enforcement. If anytime you're dealing with people, especially the type of people they target, which are illegals, a lot of drug runners, a lot of dangerous people, things are going to get messy. That's how it's going to be. Now,
ICE doesn't investigate, so you're already wrong. They don't deal with those type of people. That would be HSI. You know just as much about the DHS as Mark Wayne Mullen, so I guess you're just as qualified as him to run DHS.
Yes, from what I understand,
Why not trade a plumber for a construction worker?
Yeah.
I'm a forward construction worker. That's me. From what my view, what I believe about ICE is that their job is they are given, I guess, targets that have been investigated, maybe not necessarily by them, and their goal is to basically arrest them and then ultimately deport them. And I think that is a good goal to have. I think that I think that criminals.
So your argument is.
I think
So your argument is that they're just following orders.
And I also believe that those orders are good. Yes.
How'd that work out in 1945?
I am by principle anti-cop. So, but I would say.
And yet here you are, deep-throating the boot.
Yes. Yeah, I would say ICE, their
All the
stated
way up
mission,
there.
even though it may not be executed the best, but in theory, in principle, I believe that they are a good organization.
So the people who are actively violating the Constitution and detaining people in concentration camps, and again, I can provide actual evidence because unlike you, I don't just go on vibes and think that my stupidity is my own burden when really it's hurting other people. So I can provide evidence for any of these things and show you where they are doing these things. You, the anti-cop bootlicker, are going to sit here and say, actually, there are really good people because they're just doing what the government tells them to do, despite the fact that Barack Obama deported more illegal immigrants than Trump ever has while following the Constitution, and we didn't have concentration camps.
Yeah, I would say that's I was a little too young to be political with Obama, but that is one of my biggest critiques of ICE right now is that they're making a big show of deporting criminals, but when you look at the data, like you said, I agree with that. Obama did a better and more efficient job, but just because
and also followed human rights laws
for the most part.
Just because the institution is tactically not operating at their best right now doesn't mean that I support the institution of deporting illegals, and I think that needs to be done. And yeah, just because they're not doing it very efficiently or it's getting messy,
and you support it so much, just to be clear, you are so opposed to illegal immigration that you are willing to violate people's human rights, violate the laws of your own country, violate the Constitution to guarantee that some people didn't come here illegally. Yeah, and you're supporting the organization, you're supporting ICE, which has said that they want to deport 100 million people, which is a third of the population of this country.
It's fucking insane.
Trump said that we should be able to deport American citizens as well if they're critical of him.
Yeah, the things that I would agree with is, yes, 100 million. I do believe that immigration, specifically legal immigration, is a very big problem. The things I disagree with, I don't believe that they are as like flippantly just disobeying the law as you say. And I know you can produce
they are
stuff that proves that they are, but
they absolutely are. But I'm hung up on the 100 million. How many undocumented immigrants do you think are in this country?
Oh, I have no clue. They're by nature undocumented. They're
okay.
The
What's the population of the United States of America?
I don't know off the top of my head.
About
333 million.
Yeah, it's between that and 346. It depends on where you look. I think World Population Review is 346 million.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
In that case, I think 100 million, that's, I don't believe that there are that many, but,
okay.
The purpose of it is, hey, there's a big number, an impossible number. This is what,
Weird how a government agency talking about deporting a third of the population of your country while violating the laws of your country to do it isn't a concern for you.
Oh, wait a second. A third. Okay, yeah. I think that's actually might be realistic. But yeah.
You think it's realistic that you think it's realistic that 1/3 of the population of this country is undocumented immigrants?
Yeah, probably. I would say it's probably less than that, but that would be the absolute upper end of what it could be.
Now, this is what we're dealing with, folks. This is where we're at.
So, okay.
Yep. So, Grant... No, go ahead, Ari. What are you saying?
God. I was just... so you're saying that they haven't violated the law, right?
No. I think, like I said, operations get messy, and especially when they're dealing with the class of criminals that they are, that there are going to be...
Class of criminals.
There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be bad leaders that make poor decisions, and some of those, yes, could violate the law. So I do believe they have been doing it. I don't think it's like what they are doing, though. I don't think they exist to go break that law and round up innocents and throw them somewhere they've never been. I think that happens. That is unfortunate that happens, but just because of the nature of what we're doing, that's you want to prevent that as much as possible. But just like any kind of law enforcement, you can't expect it to be 100% smooth. These people do not want to leave. They're being forced to leave. That's going to have some messiness to it.
So just out of curiosity, I apologize. I was going to ask if we're talking about, we're just have to get these people out who don't want to leave and all these things. So then if somebody was going through immigration the right way, if they were like attending their immigration court hearings and things like that and they actually got approved and were like at a naturalization ceremony to take the oath to become a U.S. citizen, those people should be left alone, right?
Yes. I think the priority, I think the priority of.
So
ICE
then, why do you think it is, Grant? So then why do you think it is that ICE has been arresting people at their immigration court hearings and at naturalization ceremonies? Why do you think that's part of the messiness, that they just accidentally went to people who were going through their immigration court and then arrested them and detained them and deported them, even though they were doing things? Was that part of the messiness?
They deported
I
two
would say
people
part
who
of
were
the
at their
messiness,
naturalization.
but, I don't necessarily agree that those people, like all of them that they're doing that to, are here legally. I don't think I agree with that.
They
How
are
about
at the court hearing to become a legal immigrant. They
Or at
are
least
going
a
through the process.
permanent resident, you can say it that way. Because they could already have legal status, but that requires steps additionally, right? Like you can be here legally on a visa or on refugee asylum, parolee, TPS, all of these other things, but you have to do consistent check-ins with USCIS and also with the immigration court process as well, especially if you are looking to try to change or modify your immigration into another class of status.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. And I'd imagine
they-
most of the ones they're waiting for have either expired or for whatever, or haven't been updated, so they're overdue. I imagine it's a lot of situations like that. That's not something I've looked into though, so that's just me spitballing.
Gotcha. How about for the individuals that were picked up by ICE while they were waiting to go to their naturalization ceremony?
I don't know. I haven't seen that specific situation.
Sounds like you haven't seen a lot of specific situations, because I was bringing up real problems that human rights organizations, global human rights organizations including, have been calling ICE out for, and you seem to not think that they were real. So it sounds like you don't really care about any of this. Just like with the pronoun thing, it's just fine, whatever for you, and people who aren't you are being hurt, so it doesn't really matter anyway, and you have some weird moral thing that you're holding on to, and you don't care how many morals you have to break to get there.
No, I wouldn't say that this is comparable to that, because I do actually care about my country and the state of immigration. So this is something that I do take seriously.
Do you care enough about the
joke.
country to protect the Constitution?
If that's what protects the country, yeah.
No,
my ultimate goal is-
Constitution.
You
Yeah,
don't
my
care enough
loyalty-
about the country to follow the Constitution consistently.
My loyalty is to the nation. My loyalty is not necessarily to the Constitution. That being said, if it's a Venn diagram, they overlap maybe, I don't know, 80 to 90%. So
Your
yes,
nation is made up of immigrants, Grant.
I disagree with that.
The Constitution is also the foundation of our country.
Right.
Yeah, it's very, very important. But
No. That makes us a country, sir. The Constitution makes us a sovereign country. You cannot be loyal to the country without also being loyal to the Constitution.
We just have a definitional issue here. When I say my country, my nation, I mean the American people. So yes, I choose the people over the document.
First three words of the Constitution. First three words of the Constitution. Do you know them? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Those are my people.
Here, while we're talking about people, would you think it was fair to describe the people of America and the way that they come here with like these words? Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse from your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest lost to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Do you think that's an accurate depiction of how people come to America and what this country's all about?
No, I hate that poem. I hate the guy that wrote it. I'm not a fan of that. America was, when it was being
So you
founded,
don't
it was a
believe-
frontier. You did not come here because you were tired. You came here usually to flee oppression, but you came here with nothing and built. If you couldn't build your entire household up from nothing, you died. So
you don't believe in the principles of the. You don't believe in the principles of the Statue of Liberty. That is the poem, the New Colossus, carved onto the Statue of Liberty. So you don't believe in that concept.
Yeah. Yes, that's
right.
Yeah, I'm not a
and
fan
you think
of it.
that everybody
I like
needs
the statue itself. It was a cool gift.
And you think that everybody needs to earn their way in, and if they can't support themselves, they die. So then you agree that America shouldn't exist because the original settlers here didn't know how to take care of themselves and needed the Native Americans to teach them how to plant corn and everything and save their lives, as we all learned about in middle school, right?
No, they did survive. They did. We live in America, so no, I don't
with
think
the
it should
help
be
of
here.
the natives. They survived
Yeah,
because of the
absolutely.
natives that helped them.
Yeah, they also like
They were
they
tired.
also,
They
I
were
think here.
the pilgrims
they had
were
to-
tired, poor, wretched, huddled masses yearning to breathe free. They came here for religious freedom. They were received by kind and compassionate people. That's what that poem is referencing in the modern era as well. And you still don't accept that. And you're supporting an organization that is kicking people out of this country, not based on their immigration status, but they're rounding them up and detaining them based on their skin color.
No,
Are
I believe
all
it's based on
American
the
citizens
immigration
white?
status.
Are
What was
all
that?
American citizens white?
I don't want to get into breaking. Let's not talk about races because I don't want to get y'all in trouble on YouTube.
I
Why
can
would we-
confidently say all American citizens are not white. That doesn't get me in any
citizens.
trouble.
Yeah. No, I believe that American citizens are anybody that has, that is a piece of paper, your citizenship. Yeah.
Right. So then why would ICE be given authority by the Supreme Court to use skin color as a cause of reasonable suspicion to detain somebody? Why would that be allowed if we already know that skin color doesn't tell you whether or not you're an American citizen?
Yeah, I don't believe that they were given that order, but if they did,
It was in
I'll take on
district
that-
court. It was in district court that they were given. It hasn't made its way up to the Supreme Court yet.
Okay.
I thought the
All
Supreme
right.
Court actually
So-
did confirm that one.
No, it
I
was
will-
the
I
district
will-
court because or the federal court in California struck it down. I didn't think it
Okay,
had.
yeah,
Hey,
so that makes sense,
if I'm
'cause
wrong,
that
I'm
would be-
wrong. I'm good
I'll
with
double
it.
check.
Yeah, but regardless, let's say it passed all the way. Let's say it passed all the way, and now I'm forced to defend it. If I were to defend that, I'd say because the current illegal immigrants, if you look at them demographically, they are largely South American. So you will have a higher chance. I'm not saying this is
You know
good or what they
Mexico's
do. I'm
not
just
in
saying
South
if I had to
America, right?
defend it- What was that?
You might not.
You know
honestly.
Mexico is not in South America, right?
I mean, you know what I mean. South of America, or South America plus Mexico.
South of
How
the
about that?
United States.
Yeah,
Yeah, I call it America.
you would be wrong geographically. Like there are two Americas. What are they?
I know what South and North America is. I know what countries are
Okay.
in both.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I'm not saying that that's not true.
And yes, this is from the American League,
I see
American
it.
Immigration Council. Yeah.
Vasquez Perdomo. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so we now do have from the Supreme Court. I'm going to go ahead and link this article, which describes why this is such fucking shit, and you can use the sources there to go back and fact check and learn about it. So the Supreme Court has given ICE the ability to use skin color, accent, or place of employment as suspicion that they might be an undocumented immigrant, and that is why we've already had well over 100 U.S. citizens, including veterans, detained in these concentration camps for days and days at a time with no phone call, no access to their lawyer, nothing, in conditions where they are given not enough food. The food that they're given is rotten, moldy, and worm infested. They're not given potable drinking water. They're in cages with urine and feces flooding the floors. They have too many people in the cages. The cages are built for a certain amount of people. They are way overpacked. People are denied prescription medication, including life-saving medication, and people are beaten, raped, and tortured. We have hundreds of accounts of sexual abuse, including sexual abuse towards children, and also torture on several people. And also, we've had several deaths in these concentration camps, and people are dumped out in the snow, including a poor fucking blind man with no notification to their family, where they freeze to death when they are released from these concentration camps. And we have lost over 3,000 people in these camps. 3,000 immigrants that we picked up off the street, and then poof, gone like magic. Nobody knows where they are. And these people were detained based on their skin color. And you don't think that this is a bad deal because you're anti-cop, but not in this instance?
Yeah, I would say that like if I had the power, obviously I would do what I can to stop that from happening. But what I would not do is I would not say, because there's poor management, or we're targeting people and we're not getting a good we've targeted the incorrect people. Just because that happens, the way to fix that is not to stop deporting criminals. The way to fix that is to clean up the system. So those things are horrible. I do not support those. But I don't think we should throw the baby out with the bathwater, because bad things are happening.
So you
admittedly
don't
messy
support
situation.
you don't support the primary modus operandi of the organization. You don't support the orders of the leadership of the organization. Trump has said that he cannot follow the Constitution with this organization because it takes too long, and he wants to hurry up and get things done. Trump has also said that he doesn't think the Constitution should apply to him in the first place. You have no issue with those things, because it's just a little bit messy, and lots of people have lost their lives. American citizens have been shot dead in the street. But at the end of the day, you just really, really, really don't like undocumented immigrants, and so we just gotta deal with all these major violations. You want to protect your country by destroying this country, destroying democracy, destroying the foundational documents that gave this country the laws that it has. Throw all of those babies out with the bathwater in order to preserve the fucking far-right militia that is terrorizing communities and arresting people based on the color of their skin, because they kind of do something similar to what you want.
Yes, I believe that the stated goal of ICE, which is to deport these not 100,000, thousands of, or maybe even a million of criminals, if that goal is successfully executed, that will save countless more lives than will get hurt in the process. I see it the same way as I see the vaccine. You hear people getting a death from the vaccine. Well, those few deaths are worth it to save the rest of the population. That's how I see it. I don't just hate immigrants, and I love America, and I believe that their stated goal will make America a significantly safer place and ultimately save lives.
Quick question.
And just to be clear,
go
you
ahead.
go ahead. All right, I've got a totally different thing. You go first.
Okay. What makes somebody a criminal?
Break the law?
Incorrect.
Well, I don't know if that's the best, but I guess so. Yeah.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay, yeah, that's why I second guessed myself. That was just my gut reaction, but if you have a better definition, I'll probably agree with it.
Yeah, according to our legal justice system, you are a criminal once you have been convicted in a court of law or by a jury of your peers.
Okay, yeah. So criminal is someone that broke a law and has been convicted of it.
Correct, because in this country, we have a saying in our criminal justice system of innocent until proven guilty. So the only way to prove someone is a criminal is by taking them through the process of due process. You're using it to just lump everybody in here that may or may not have broken the law, which I don't know if you realize this, but you can find the statistic on cbp.gov where they actually go over the criminal convictions. They charge people about 80,000 immigrants with 8 U.S. Code 1325 and 8 U.S. Code 1326, which is crossing the border through a non-port of entry. And out of those 80,000, we only see about 120 convictions every single year. And just also news for you, criminals have always been deported from our country after they've served their time in jail.
Okay, yeah, I would say, due process is a very beautiful Western invention. And I think, again, the solution is not to stop arresting criminals. The solution is to make the due process more quick and efficient.
It's
and
not
just to be
quick
clear,
or efficient.
It's just to be clear, what you are advocating for here, Grant, is ICE, which are violating that constitutional protection. The 5th and the 14th Amendments are very clear that every single person, not every single citizen, every single person under the jurisdiction of this country has equal protection under the law and the right to due process. That's what Trump said he doesn't want to follow anymore because it takes too much time, similar to what you just said. What Ari just pointed out is why the right to due process is important. The problem is the vast majority of people in ICE detention right now are not criminals. 70% of ICE detainees have no criminal record. They are just random people being picked up off the street and then being deported and tortured because we think they might not be from around here. That is
I
un-American.
completely disagree with that. Maybe technically they're not criminals because they just haven't been tried yet, but I don't believe that 70% of the people that are in detention centers, I don't even think it's close to that. It's probably like
You
maybe
can
less than 5%.
That is from your own
ICE.gov.
government's report. That is from
Yes.
your own government's report on the matter. 70%, upwards of 70% have no criminal record.
Yeah, you can go, it's literally ice.gov/statistics. It's the easiest website to find. At the bottom of it, you can find for 2025 and on, because they stopped updating that specific web page itself. Now you have to pull their Excel records, which is at the bottom of that page. So it takes a little bit of work to get to it. But even according to their own statistics, they are mostly deporting people that have zero criminal convictions and zero criminal records and zero criminal accusations.
Okay, yeah, and that's why I'm glad that you clarified the difference between being, a criminal means you've committed a crime and have been convicted. That's what I would say. I would say most of those people just haven't been convicted for it. They're probably
They haven't even been accused.
They
have not even been accused. They haven't even been charged or indicted.
They were brown and nearby. That was their crime. That's why they were arrested.
I do not believe that 70% of people that ICE are.
I gave you the website to go and look it up on your own.
Yeah,
you can also find an article from The Guardian. You can also, that tracks this all as well. I can post that in the chat right now.
No, I believe that statistic exists. I do not believe the validity of it.
So you think your government is wrong?
I'm quoting ICE, the Department of Homeland Security.
So just to be clear, Grant, you don't think that ICE, you support ICE, but you don't think that they know who they're even picking up. When they report who they have in custody, you don't think they're telling the truth.
No, I think that, I don't know if the guys on the ground necessarily know other than what they've been briefed on, but yeah, I do believe that they know who they're picking up.
We just told you who they're picking up, who they have reported they're picking up, and you said you don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe that there's 70% of people that they pick up are just goodies.
Which is what they reported.
What was that?
Which is what ICE themselves reported. They said that is the number. And you think that it's wrong. So you don't think that they know what they're doing.
I don't think that they are the most competent in the world, but I don't think I don't believe that 70% have not done anything. I think
let's have one more fun little game here, Grant. We're talking about the right to due process. Do you believe that all these undocumented immigrants in this country that you're so worried about, do you believe that they should have the right to due process, which the Constitution guarantees?
Yeah, you said that. Which amendment was that?
That's the 5th and the 14th Amendments.
Okay, yeah.
I can read them to you if you like.
No, I believe that. Yeah, one of the things that makes the Constitution so great is because those amendments exist. They were added on after the fact. I also believe that they can be changed. So when Trump says that we might need to change that, that's something that the Constitution allows for. So I think, during
So are you advocating for getting rid of the right to due process?
He just said the
Only
4th and
for
5th Amendments were added afterwards.
They weren't, Grant.
No,
Jesus
the
Christ,
first
I didn't
10 were
catch
there.
that.
Yeah, I'm talking about. Yeah, I know the first 10 were there. But yeah.
But the amendments that
we
Forrest brought up were the 4th and 5th.
No, I brought up the 5th and the 14th.
Oh, 5th and 14th. Okay. Like, broski. Like,
so
I'm dying
one of them
inside.
was there from the beginning.
I don't see anything wrong with potentially amending that.
So you think we should get rid of the right to due process for undocumented immigrants?
Yeah, for non-citizens, it might even be a temporary thing until we get the situation a little bit more under control. But back to what we were saying about just making things more efficient, that could be something.
Grant, I accuse you of being an undocumented immigrant. I am now going to throw you in a detention center and deport you to El Salvador. How do you prove your innocence?
I have my driver's license, I have my passport.
Doesn't matter.
Driver's license doesn't prove citizenship.
you don't have the right to due process. You don't get to pull those things up because you don't get a court date because you don't get due process. So how do you protect yourself?
In this crazy hypothetical situation, I guess I hypothetically couldn't, but I mean,
Not a
that's not
hypothetical
something
situation.
This happens.
Not a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
Hundreds of American citizens, including veterans, have been detained, and we have also deported veterans as well
Just
because
I
they
would
don't
say
get
that
due process
is-
rights.
I would say that would be an extremely unfortunate failure of the system.
Right. So how do you prevent that failure, Grant? How do you make sure that failure doesn't happen?
That we have ways to check that, to validate someone's status.
What would that process be called to validate their status and to check on these things so that they don't get unlawfully detained and deported?
Yeah, you're saying give them a due process on this very specific
Yes.
thing. Yeah,
Give them due
happened.
process on everything, which is what the Constitution provides for, and that's why it says that. Is because if you don't give due process to everybody, then nobody has it. If everybody isn't protected, nobody's protected. If everybody isn't free, nobody's free. So if you say these types of people aren't free anymore, then all I have to do is accuse you of being that kind of person, and you have lost your freedom. That's not the kind of country I want to live in, Grant. It's weird that you do, but in fact, I think the reason you think that's acceptable, the reason why you'd entertain that, is because you know you're safe. And that's the thing about fascism, Grant, is you are never safe. You're just next.
Yeah, I understand. You know, when I said that that's something we could do, like obviously I'm not a politician or a lawyer. I don't know the best way. The point is that the process needs to be made more efficient. It needs to be better than it is. And that's something that I think could make it better. Now, I am open to being wrong about that. That's not something I'm super.
That requires
I'm super
passing
hard on.
laws.
We have to. What was that?
Oh, so just really quick, what if, for example, a presidential candidate were to say that they wanted comprehensive immigration reform that made that process faster and better and made sure people could enter the country in the legal way? Because as you know, I'm sure, as of right now, people wait for decades on end in the system trying to get here legally, and they often have lapses in their immigration status, not because of their own fault, but because of the system's fault. So if somebody were to be running for president and they said they want comprehensive immigration reform that rectifies these issues and modernizes the immigration system to make it so that people can come here legally, and if somebody is undocumented, there's no longer an excuse, and we can all agree that it's easy to deport them. And also, that hypothetical politician were to back a bipartisan border security bill that was supported by both sides of the aisle in the Senate and wanted to lock down the border and make it secure and reform our immigration system, would you support that politician?
I'm not really a single issue voter. And even that one, I don't think, let's see. I mean, in theory, that would be great. I don't believe in any current running politician right now.
Just so you know, Grant,
they lie.
what I just described to you was the platform of Kamala Harris. That's what she was running on. She supported the bipartisan border security bill that Trump struck down.
Yeah, the one that was introduced by Senator Lankford from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I would
very red. Yeah. Oh, you just wouldn't trust it. Okay.
No, of course not. Yeah. Because politicians, Trump is the one that never lies, right? All the other ones, they're liars. But I mean, Trump, fuck, man, we gotta support him.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Hey,
yeah, he's
Grant,
a complete piece of shit.
Just out of curiosity, how do you justify ICE killing? Oh gosh, so many people. Let's see. We'll start with Ruben Ray Martinez, Kevin. Oh gosh, I'm going to forget his last name real quick. Keith Porter Jr., Renee Nicole Good, and Alex Preddy. How do you justify those?
The only one I'm familiar with is Renee, and that was a very unfortunate situation. And but I believe that the officer.
How do you justify that?
I believe that he was acting in self-defense.
Nope, wrong. Also, we've been talking to you for 51 minutes, and if I talk to you one more, for a minute longer, I might actually just rip off my headphones and throw them across the room.
Yeah, just to be clear, he was not acting in self-defense, and we have multiple lines of evidence to prove that. And also we have
including
Alex
his own
Preddy.
video.
Right, exactly. His own cell phone video shows that he was not acting in self-defense. And even if he was, he didn't have to, if he, that first shot was in self-defense, the other shots while he was off to the side of the car through the window certainly weren't in self-defense. And denying medical care to the person was not self-defense. When they told the doctor, I don't give a shit, you're not going to go treat her, that also wasn't self-defense. So again...
yeah, I think it was a very unfortunate situation.
Have the day you deserve.
Yeah.
What?
Grant, I think it would be a lot easier if you just told the call screener that your favorite ice cream flavor is boot. It would have been a lot easier, man.
That would be it. So I wanted to point out something about that Supreme Court case is that it was just an emergency stay, which is why I was like, it hadn't made its way up to the Supreme Court yet, because technically it hadn't. They just used the shadow docket and said, no, we're not doing a nationwide injunction. And that's mostly what it is, because it still hasn't made its way through the courts just yet. So
it's just, it's so important to point out, like, the whole thing, the entire call was the same thing. This doesn't affect me personally. I haven't looked that much into it, but it seems all right to me. And meanwhile, we talk about the pronouns thing, talk about, ICE, talk about anything else. It's not affecting him personally. So at the end of the day, fuck it. He thinks it's fine. He thinks it's funny. He thinks national security is important. He thinks that sovereignty is, whatever. Just his vibes, his feelings, his safe space. That matters more than anybody else. Fuck all the way off, dude. Grow some fucking empathy. Like, goddamn, grow up.
Stubs his toe every morning for the next week.
I hope your phone only charges at a very specific angle. It's just, absolute, just dog shit person. Honestly, like, I fuck, ugh.
It's a joke. I think it's funny. Okay, where's the punchline? Proceeds to retell the joke that no one thought was funny. Can you just get to the punchline?
It's just, the punchline is fucking you, dude. You're still being taken for a ride. You're still oh no, Trump lies all the time. I'm just going to support him and the things that he says and does. I'm just going to support these things. Because at the end of the day, I didn't see any lie. I didn't look into it. I didn't check. I don't think any of these numbers are true. No, ICE knows what they're doing, but when they say what they're doing, that's not true. That's inaccurate. Jesus Christ, dude. We have 5 calls left in the queue. There's no way we're going to get to all of them, so I'm so sorry. Some of you are going to be waiting, and then you're going to be sorely disappointed. But I would love to take another one, and I'm going to leave it up to Ari, so whoever of you doesn't get on, it's her fault. Blame her. Be mad.
Well, the only 2 I feel like are worthwhile are going to be 44 and 48.
What the fuck is 48?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think 44, I don't know about 44. I don't think I would be very good at that one.
Oh, it just said that. Never mind. I didn't read the first part. That's interesting.
I'll take 48. 48 sounds weird.
Yeah,
they've all been waiting over an hour. Everybody here has been waiting over an hour, so it doesn't matter.
If you guys are calling from another country, I'm sorry. I'm not taking your call for our last call. I do appreciate you, but...
So you want to drop everybody from another country?
Yeah, I will. Let's do...
we're
evil
evil nationalists. I'm going to... Sorry, Mariana. We can't get you today. Sorry, Luigi. We can't get you today. Our co-host is racist. She's not into it. You hate Italians.
That wouldn't even be racism. That would just be... What is that? That would be nationalistic, I guess?
Yeah.
Nationalism?
Yeah. Our co-host is a nationalist.
Yeah, nationalism.
So sorry.
Like, sorry, we're talking to our own country right now.
Let's go ahead and do Joshua, pronouns he and him, who wants to talk about why we're left-leaning and identifies here as an anarcho-capitalist. Fuck, dude. Joshua, you are on the line with Forrest and Ari. How are you doing today?
Good. I've been waiting over an hour. I feel like
Grant man.
was not the guy as much as he
Grant
wanted
sucked.
to be.
Yeah.
More so, I am unfamiliar with both of you. I think I tried to call, is it Ari?
Yeah, that's my name.
I think months ago, and I kind of got shut down. I haven't seen a bunch of people in the chat. So the first thing I kind of want to go over is kind of what Grant, well, let me start with this. most of the time, like if I argue with liberals, I've had this when arguing with, MAGA right-leaning people as well. A lot of the times liberals would rather demean than have like intellectual superiority. I'm hoping we kind of don't have that today. I do want to be as civil as possible when it comes to this.
I'll be nice as long as you are.
First thing, yeah, absolutely. The first thing I heard, is it Forrest?
Yep.
The first thing I heard, one of the first things I heard you said, I took a bunch of notes, is, of course, somebody who is a dick supports ICE. Coming from like an on-cap libertarianism kind of thing is, if that's, I kind of hate the reason why people. Let me try to explain it better.
I could be more clear. Not every person who is a dick supports ICE, but every person who supports ICE is a dick.
Okay,
That's a good way to put it.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird coming from my point of view because I want as little government control as possible. I do think ICE does a good job at some things,
like racism. They do a good job at that. They do a good job of human rights violations.
Not necessarily. You did say, let me go back to my notes here. Grant did say
I like that.
largely a majority of the people who were deported were South American, and I definitely think he got that wrong. You did bring up Mexico as an antidote to that. I mean, ICE isn't just deporting Mexican citizens. I do think they are a large portion of it as well.
Doesn't really change anything about anything that I said.
Yeah.
Is it just a nitpicking call?
So let's just take a look at, I think you said they're being racist. Let's take a look at the DHS.gov/wow page, which is worst of the worst. The top 10 people, just for
Their slander page?
let's say theory, slander page. Okay. So there's a man here convicted of statutory rape, deported. Another man, first-degree criminal sexual penetration of a child under 13 years old. Possession of child pornography, molestation of a minor, and those are people.
So far, just to be clear, we're describing Trump and his crimes. Trump is a rapist and a pedophile and a 34-time convicted felon. And we're pointing to, well, here are some brown people that did bad things too, while ignoring the fact that the vast majority of pedophilia, the vast majority of rape, the vast majority of violent crime in this country is done by white people, American citizens.
Well, in all honesty,
so ICE isn't doing anything about that. ICE is rounding up people based on their skin color, just in case some of them might be criminals. And we have Trump saying that immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country and that immigrants are not really humans, they're animals, and that they can't be trusted, and also said on the news that they have bad genes that make them commit more crimes. So we have Nazi talk coming from a far-right fascist, dementia-ridden fucking pedophile, and you're saying, well, think about it, though. We have this website that says that some of the people that were reported were really bad guys. I'm sure they were. But that doesn't change the fact that they were deported without due process, without the right to equal protection under the law, without following Constitution, without their right to dignity. We've broke our laws to prevent possible, potential, maybe crimes. And we're pointing to some actual criminals to justify it, and that doesn't justify shit, especially when the president is a rapist.
Okay. You know what? I agree with you on some of the stuff you said. Just to be clear, the reason Donald Trump was convicted of his quote-unquote rape allegations was because the judge said, yeah, it does look like something Donald Trump would do, and that's why he was convicted without evidence. You did say innocent.
First of all, just to be clear, he was not convicted without evidence. He was convicted by a jury that his own lawyers select. Peers convicted him, and also he was held civilly liable for sexual abuse because the criminal statute in New York where he was convicted for rape specifically has to be penile penetration of the vagina, specifically, and they could not pin him down on specifically that exact detail, so they went with sexual abuse. Other judges have since come out and clarified, yes, this is absolutely a case of rape. They got him on rape by instrumentation or digital rape, which we're just going to call sexual abuse here, but abso-fucking-lutely he raped her. And we know that for sure because when he came out later and said, no, I didn't, this is all a hoax, and said the shit you're saying right now, she successfully sued him for defamation. And he now owes her hundreds of millions more dollars because it was proven that he was lying when he said, I didn't rape her, she's making the whole thing up.
Okay. Well, again, like I said, I don't lean right. So if you are saying some of these things, I could totally get on the side of you being correct on that. I'm not being hostile towards you, and it kind of sounds like you're getting a little more hostile.
I don't like rape
totally
apologists.
Okay.
So, if you're going to say that he was convicted with no evidence,
not a rape apologist,
and he didn't really rape anybody, it makes you sound like you might be doing apologetics for a rapist, and that does irritate me a bit.
Yeah, and just out of curiosity, did you vote?
Don't confuse my passion for anger, though.
Did you vote in 2024?
I voted in 2016, have not voted since.
Okay.
I was assaulted by 2 females when I was 2016. I was 20 years
Yo,
old.
give a trigger warning.
Female birds, female pigs, female dogs. What kind of females are we talking about here?
Female women.
Then give a
Female
goddamn
women.
trigger warning, you dumbass.
Oh, man.
How is me being dumb when I say 2 females? How is that a trigger warning?
Trigger
It's
warning
just
to
a
the
real-
story.
Also, let's
In all
go to the point
fairness,
where
I don't
I
mean
say I was assaulted for this, and you called me a dumbass. So if you were
Because
to
I
tell
kept
me,
telling you
oh,
to give a trigger warning. Do you not know what a trigger warning is? Some people don't want to hear this stuff. You already ignored that.
absolutely.
You already ignored that when you were reading off people's convictions or the slander page that the Department of Justice or the Department of Homeland Security puts up there. But you trying to go into your own personal stories and potential detail, and yeah, Forrest, you probably could have given a trigger warning too on the Trump shit.
Oh, no, I should be. Yeah, I'm fine
Yeah.
with that.
Okay, that's my bad. But
Thank
being
you.
called a dumbass when I'm trying to explain something is totally, it's kind of the thing of the complex superiority, that kind of thing. You're dumb
call the
because
tone
I
police
don't
about it.
believe what you believe. Okay, absolutely.
I'm so sorry.
No apologies needed. So I guess if we're going to say people are, what would you say, rape? I'm sorry, you said.
Just go ahead. I'm fine with the tone. Just
rape
go.
apologists? Yeah. So if you're saying people like me, quote unquote, are rape apologists, so that you're kind of being contradicting as well when I bring up the worst of the worst page, and you're saying no, these people didn't do that or things like that. So how are we not going to believe women on that side? Okay.
I didn't say anything like that. I said that you sound like a rape apologist when you falsely claim that Trump was just given a flippant conviction with no real evidence. That's obviously patently not true. And I never said that the people on this page never did the crimes they did. I'm saying pointing to them as if that justifies anything that ICE is doing is ridiculous.
Okay.
Especially
And
when
the
you
reason I
compare it
brought
to
that up
what
is
Trump
'cause-
is saying.
And the reason I did bring that up is because I think when you were talking to Grant, you did make some very good points. You were talking about the racial prejudice against these people and actually just picking up these people because they're brown. I don't believe in that either. I don't believe, as Martin Luther King said, judge a man by his character, not by the color of his skin. So I totally agree with you guys on that. It was one of the good ones, though. I'm more of a Malcolm X fan myself. We won't get into that. But I totally agree with you guys. That's what I'm saying. I totally agree that ICE isn't doing just cause for what they actually should be doing. I think they should only be going after people who have expired visas. I think they should be going after the people who have committed crimes and are guilty of those crimes, and that's it. So that's kind of the long point I was trying to make, was just I agree with you guys on that.
So you're calling in to say you agree with us on some stuff. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, so am I a dick for saying that if this man commits a crime in our country, and he needs to be deported and sent back to his own country after he spends his jail time here, so I'm a dick for supporting that?
No.
You're a dick. That is normal criminal proceedings following due process. You're a dick if you support ICE, who are fascists, who are going against people's constitutional rights, violating the laws of this country, acting in racist and discriminatory ways, abusing, molesting, and torturing people, and also following the orders of a senile billionaire pedophile rapist and acting as his personal secret police. You are following along with Nazis doing Nazi shit. That's what makes you a dick. I don't care if you support legal immigration. I don't care if you support legal deportation. I don't care if you support a stricter border policy. I don't care if you support, going through criminal courts and making it more difficult to become a citizen. I think that those are all things that we can have conversations about. But if you support Nazi shit, then yeah, I think you're a dick. And what ICE is doing and what Trump is saying is Nazi shit. Trump saying that immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country, if I told you Hitler said that, you wouldn't know the difference. Him saying that immigrants are animals that aren't really fully human, or that they have bad genes that make them violent, that's Nazi talk. And when we see ICE using skin color, accent, and workplace employment as reasons to detain people, detaining U.S. citizens, detaining veterans, torturing people in concentration camps, losing thousands of people, yeah, that's Nazi shit. And if you say you support it, I don't care what your little underlying reason is. There are better ways to do whatever the fuck you want to do. The only reason you would support ICE is if you're a dick and you think it's appropriate for the government to say that a third of this country needs to be deported, and Donald Trump saying that anybody who criticizes him should lose their citizenship.
You're also a dick for incorrectly quoting what the judge said in the E. Jean Carroll case and then lying about the case in general. There was evidence produced. There were witnesses that spoke. Donald Trump's own fucking words weren't thrown back in his face, and he threw a hissy fit about that. And then you're also kind of a dick for trying to use your own personal story to justify why you're saying that it wasn't rape.
I never used my own story to try to justify that it wasn't. I'm just saying more so, the thing I wanted to get into with you guys was why do we decide to lean left? I've had this conversation with another YouTuber who leans right, and he kind of gave me his basic necessities on why he thinks his side is correct. And this is all just research purposes for my part. Nothing's going to go forward with this. It's just, how can I make myself better? How can I understand people better?
Because there are exactly two kinds of people. The reason why I lean left, Joshua, is because there are exactly two kinds of people in this world: Nazis and people who hate Nazis. I'm one of the ones that hates Nazis. And right now, we've got literal fucking Nazis who are trying to take away our country. And I'm not a fan of that. Now, I also happen to care a lot about human rights, and I also happen to care a lot about equality. I personally am a social anarchist, so socialism and anarchism together, and I believe that liberty and equality are intrinsically and inseparably linked. So if everybody isn't equal, then everybody isn't free, and if everybody isn't free, then nobody's free. And I like freedom. I want more freedom. So that's why I lean to the left. I can give you specific talking points on specific things, but that's also why I'm not a capitalist, and that's also why I'm not a Trump supporter, because I like reading and I like freedom.
Okay, I mean, I know people who are Trump supporters. A good majority of my family are Trump supporters, but I don't have any problem with people choosing to believe what they want to believe in. That includes the people on the left choosing that whatever they want to believe in. That's totally okay with me. But you guys, the left does have a tendency to kind of paint the right and assume the right is all in a bad negative light. I mean, I've seen people on the right absolutely say, hey, you know what? People on the left aren't what I'm about, but that's okay. But it's more so I see people on the left being like more hazardous to people on the right than anything else.
Give an example of one person in history within the United States of America who was a conservative or believed in the conservative ideology that progressed the country?
I'm saying more so towards like people I know.
Okay.
So I'm still kind of new. Yeah, so
I'll
I'm
take
still
that
kind
as
of
a
new to the whole,
non-answer.
like,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, take it however you want. But to sit there and say, you know, if I'm scrolling on Facebook or anything and I see a post where they're talking about Donald Trump had a heart attack and all this, and a bunch of people are saying, oh, I can't wait till he dies. We're going to celebrate in the streets and do all that. Like, do you think that's appropriate? Like, you don't have to
Yes.
like the guy, but I didn't need
Because-
one person.
You don't think it's appropriate to be happy about the prospect that someone who is doing irreparable harm to millions of people all around the world might not be around anymore? You don't think it's okay to say, hey, fuck that guy. I hope he dies. I'm okay with it. You don't even have to say you like the fact that he dies. Just the fact that he's dead could be relieving to you. You don't see how that's an issue?
I do think it's an issue because I personally don't wish harm on anybody. But I feel like people want to take they're like more leaning towards the left.
You wouldn't wish harm on Stalin, Mussolini, anybody, people who are killing millions of people. You're just like, oh, I hope they have a good day today.
Well, it's not even just that. Did you
Okay.
did you call out the Republicans that celebrated or laughed when they heard that Joe Biden had cancer?
Yeah, and I think that's fucked up too. I'm not saying it's like
That you're logically consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a fucked up thing too. I just seen something that somebody posted in the chat. You bring up like Mussolini, you know, let's bring up other people like Mao Zedong and like all those other socialists.
Pick your favorite. King Leopold. If King Leopold was alive today and I found out that he was sick, I would really hope he passed quickly because he did irreparable, unbelievable harm to tens of millions of people. He killed millions of people. He was a son of a bitch. He was a piece of shit. He deserved to die. I'm sad that he didn't suffer longer than he did. Fuck that dude. Happy to say that he's dead. I'm not going to go... That doesn't mean that I myself am a murderer, but I don't think it's reasonable to, you know, call me out on, like, being hateful and whatever when I'm an embodiment of the solution to the paradox of tolerance. I want everyone to be equal and free. If there's somebody in power that is hurting millions of people and taking away people's rights, I'm happy if that person stops doing that, no matter how that happens. How is that a weird thing for you to grasp?
So I think it's weird that you call yourself an anarchy-socialist, but looking back, it's some of the socialists that you so much think that actually wanted or actually think that you think is okay was not, but you still want socialism in our country today. Like Mao Zedong killed 50 to 70 million of his own people. On top of that, he also killed anybody who tried to oppose him politically. But you
right,
call
and I don't support
fascism.
that. And I don't support that because socialism and fascism are different things, just like capitalism and fascism are different things, despite the fact that right now, the fascists in power are capitalists. And capitalism has killed way more fucking people. I talked about King Leopold. That was a capitalist fucking situation that led to that. So, like, slavery in this country was a capitalist system. So, I'm not going to say all capitalists are just like fucking Leopold or just like whatever slaver. I'm not going to, no. But I am going to begrudge capitalism because I think it's a shitty, broken, useless system that is anti-freedom and anti-democracy. And I'm going to promote socialism that is more a democratic system, a more free system, and a more attainable system, and a sustainable system, regardless of who has called themselves a socialist while being a piece of shit in the past. Because I don't think Mao Zedong or any of these people were really socialists. The Nazis weren't socialists. They called themselves that. And America was very happy to run with that. But in the same way that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, is not a Democratic People's Republic. And I'm not going to say all democracy is bad because North Korea calls themselves a democracy. I'm not going to do that with socialism either. What a weird argument.
We're going
anyway, with that,
to cut this.
Yeah. I've got to go to After Dark. I've got another show. Ari, do you want to stay on this show while I move, or are you done with this one?
No, I'm good. I don't want to talk to you, the people waiting. Right. Sorry, Vlad. Sorry, Chris. And Joshua, you're an asshole, so I don't
All
really
This
care
right,
sucks,
either.
dude. This really
like I
sucked.
said,
Deuces.
Anyway, with that, that's the end of our show. I just dropped everybody else in the queue. I don't know if I was
Yep.
supposed to do that, but I did it anyway.
That's all right. We still
with
love you
that,
guys.
Thank you for everybody
That's it.
tuning in. I'm gonna go to
To
After
the
Dark
late
now.
night. Yep.
Yeah, so go tune in for that. I'll be over there in a couple of minutes, and I'll see y'all later. Ari, it's been a lot of
All right.
fun.
It was nice to meet you and talk with you and do this together. So thanks, Forrest.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm glad that it worked out that we were on the same show together. Got to have like a little nerd moment or something.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.